Start with a word of prayer for the tragic accident that befell our nation last night, where we lost civilians and service members. I pray for their families. I pray for law enforcement and military personnel, and I pray for their souls, and hopefully God will find them peace in the near future. I'd like to welcome my father, Pramod, and my mother, Anjana, who are sitting here today. They traveled here to get here from India. My sister's also here, Nisha. She also traversed the oceans just to be with me here today. It means the world that you guys are here. Jesse Krishna. I wouldn't be here today without their guidance, their unwavering support, and their relentless love. When President Trump informed me of his intention to nominate me as the director of the FBI, I was deeply honored. Sitting here today, I carry not only the dreams of my parents, but also the hopes of millions of Americans who stand for justice, fairness, and the rule of law. My commitment to these principles is deeply rooted in my family's history, which has profoundly shaped my worldview. My father fled Idi Amin's genocidal dictatorship in Uganda, where 300,000 men, women, and children were killed based on their ethnicity, just because they happen to look like me. My mother is originally from Tanzania. She studied in India, as did my dad, and they were married there. They would later emigrate to New York, as the senator pointed out, where I was born, and we were raised in a household of my father's 7 siblings, their spouses, and at least half a dozen children. That's the only way we knew how to do things at the time, in the 70s and 80s, the Indian way. But we would soon learn the American way. These values have shaped and been the driving force of my career in 16 years of government service. Protecting the rights of the Constitution is of the utmost importance to me and has been every single time I've taken that oath of office. The recent terrorist attacks in New Orleans tragically claimed the lives of 14 innocent Americans and serve as a stark reminder that our national security is at threat, both internally and externally. The FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and the Department of Justice, where I served, play a pivotal role in securing our freedoms and our safeties for American citizens. If confirmed as the next FBI director, I will remain focused on the FBI's core mission. That is to investigate fully wherever there is a constitutional factual basis to do so, and to never make a prosecutorial decision that is solely the providence of the Department of Justice and the Attorney General. For the first 8 years after law school, I served as a public defender, first for Miami-Dade County and later for the Southern District of Florida. During that time, I represented some pretty awful human beings, charged with some pretty heinous crimes. But what I learned there was the core value that has been enshrined in me since, that due process must be provided without bias to all Americans. And if we cannot provide due process to the worst, then there can be no due process for anyone, and our constitutional republic fails. But I battled on that hill for that due process. I would later serve in the Obama Justice Department as a terrorism prosecutor in the National Security Division, where we successfully contributed to the prosecutions of terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda, Al-Shabaab, and others. I was honored to receive the 2017 Assistant Attorney General's Award from Loretta Lynch for my work in helping the Ugandans bring members of Al-Shabaab to justice for murdering 74 innocent people, including an American. I would also receive the Human Intelligence Award from the intelligence community for related work on that mission. My experiences at the National Security Division and would later be followed by my experiences on the National Security Council as Senior Director for Counterterrorism, and later as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence, responsible for the production, creation, and promulgation of the Presidential Daily Briefing, our nation's most sensitive classified information and secrets to protect our country. My time in secrets to protect our country. My time in
Nice.
not afford them to allow it to run away. We must tackle violent crime. Just in 2023 alone, there was 100,000 rapes, 100,000 drug overdoses, and 17,000 homicides. The priority of the FBI, if I'm confirmed, will be to ensure that our communities are protected and safeguarded and our children have parks to play in and not needles to walk over. The way we do this, we let good cops be cops. We let law enforcement, and we provide them with the tools necessary and resources they need to get after violent crime. The second way we do this on equal track is aggressive constitutional oversight from Congress. The public trust can only be restored if there is full transparency, and I am committed to that full transparency. Members of Congress have unfortunately submitted hundreds of questions that have been unanswered by the FBI in recent times. That will not occur if I am confirmed. All appropriate requests for information will be responded to expeditiously and fully. I'm committed to working alongside the dedicated men and women of the FBI. They are warriors of justice, and I will always have their backs because they have the backs of the American people. I look forward to answering your questions, and I want to take a moment to thank my family, my friends, people who traveled here, and my entire team that has made this day possible. God bless America, and I look forward to your questions.
Seven minutes first round, is that right? 7 minutes, 3 minutes the second round. Mr. Patel, I'm not going to go through all the things that you've done through your career because I said those in my opening statements, but Democrats on the committee say you don't have experience. What are you most proud of from your career in public service?
By the way, it's different kinds of experience. It's different kinds. Leading departments and being a part of departments is a lot different.
Mr. Chairman, I appreciate the question. It's really humbling to be afforded the opportunity to have served this country for 16 years. But I think what I'm most proud of is my work in national security, protecting the no-fail mission, returning American hostages, killing high-value terrorists that brought hate and destruction to our shores. I've served that mission in Democratic and Republican administrations, and it is the one mission that we cannot fail, and it is the one mission where the FBI must play a critical role.
Okay. As you well know, and you and I discussed this in my office, whistleblowers are critical to rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Their courage to come forward and make legally protected disclosures about government wrongdoing benefits the country. I think they're politically, they are good American citizens, just want the government to do what it's supposed to do. I think they're treated by bureaucracies, not just in the FBI, but throughout the bureaucracy, like skunks at a picnic.
As governments right now under Trump is firing watchdogs.
Will you protect whistleblowers from retaliation, unlike former Director Wray, and promote a culture at the FBI that values whistleblowers' important contributions?
Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. I share in your beliefs about the importance of whistleblowers.
So we've spent a lot of taxpayers' money ruining whistleblowers. Will you commit to ensuring that no taxpayer money will be used to identify and retaliate against whistleblowers?
Senator, if I'm confirmed, it will not.
Okay. You and I have heard a lot of criticism about various statements about January 6th. You said, quote, those who broke actual laws should be prosecuted, end of quote. But you've also called out the partisan nature of prosecutions and compared how the Biden Justice Department treated January 6th defenders with how they ignored many other crimes. Those include crimes related to illegal immigration, as well as riots that took place around the country. So explain your position on January 6th to this committee, and how do you respond to critics who say that you're anti-law enforcement?
Mr. Chairman, I greatly appreciate the question, the opportunity to discuss that.
He's only anti-law enforcement if the law enforcement is anti-Trump. So if they're protesters or rioters for Trump, that he's anti-law enforcement. But if they're against Antifa, which is fake, and also anyone on the left, or in general, he supports law enforcement. But the moment you go against Daddy Trump or King Trump, you go against King Trump, you're an enemy.
If anyone wants to consider me as anti-law enforcement, then look at my 16 years in government service, whether I was trying 60 jury trials in state and federal court upholding the rights of the indigent and breathing life into constitutional due process, or later as a national security prosecutor, where I served this country and overseas, and later when I was a Joint Special Operations Command civilian embedded with SEAL Team 6 and Delta, chasing down some of the most high-value target terrorists there are on this earth and successfully achieving a mission end state. I have always respected law enforcement. I have taken that oath and will take that oath again, God willing, to be the next director of the FBI. As for January 6th, I have repeatedly, often, publicly, and privately said there can never be a tolerance for violence against law enforcement. And anyone that commits an act of violence against law enforcement must be investigated, prosecuted, and imprisoned. And on January 6th, I said the same thing about acts against law enforcement.
We should always follow
the Capitol Police, who I have served with, and when I was Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, rushing to the aid of the members of this committee and your colleagues to provide the National Guard was my top mission priority, not politics. And that is my love of this country to protect our laws and our way of life. And it was no different. If there's any ever corruption, I have been the first to call it out. And I will continue to call out corruption in government service because it is a privilege to serve this nation. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Outside of this committee, and some people on this committee have accused you of promoting the QAnon movement. My colleagues have already asked your future boss, Mr. Bondi.
It's not accusing. He did. He sold books saying Trump is the king, and he literally promoted QAnon directly. He directly did this many times, aggressively. He's a huge QAnon advocate. If he lies about this, there's a lot of videos of him just like advocating for QAnon directly.
Many questions about this. I think it's easy to see these attacks for what they are, guilt by association. Are you a follower or promoter of QAnon?
No, Senator. In fact, I have publicly, including in the interviews provided to this committee, rejected outright QAnon baseless conspiracy theories or any other baseless conspiracy theories. They must be addressed head on with the truth, and I will continue to do that. And I will always continue to support Americans who support law enforcement, our military, and want a secure border.
Now, there is a chance that he's a normal person who's just acting because he knows the idiots are going to support him if he acts dumb. So he might not be as crazy as he presents himself, but still, obviously they're anti-law enforcement, they're pro-QAnon. Whatever supports Trump, really. They're loyalists.
Over the past 4 years, the FBI and Justice Department have weaponized law enforcement towards partisan ends. This has affected you personally. You, along with even members of my staff, were the victims of FBI overreach when they secretly subpoenaed your records during the investigation into Crossfire Hurricane. Inspector General Horowitz of Justice Department was right to say actions like this have a quote, unquote, chilling effect on whistleblowers. How do you intend to make sure that this kind of misconduct never happens again?
Senator, this may be one of the scenarios that most uniquely qualifies me to take command at the FBI. Having been the victim of government overreach and a weaponized system of justice and law enforcement, I know what it feels like to have the full weight of the United States government barreling down on you. And as the Biden Inspector General determined, those activities by the FBI and DOJ were wholly improper and not predicated upon law and facts. I will ensure, if confirmed, that no American is subjected to that kind of torment, to that kind of cost, financially and personally. And most importantly, I will make sure that no American is subjected to death threats like I was, and subjected to moving their residences like I was, because of government overreach, because of leaks of information about my personal status.
He literally publicly threatens elected officials, by the way. He publicly threatens people.
If confirmed as FBI director, Mr. Chairman, you have my commitment that no one in this country will feel that pain.
Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, I woke up this morning to National Public Radio, and they had an item on there about what has happened to those who were given blanket clemency by President Trump. One of these individuals was a man named Matthew Huddle. Are you familiar with him?
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Matthew Huddle.
If you could remind me, Senator.
And the FBI investigations around him were legitimate investigations. You only think they're not legitimate if you are a Trump loyalist, because they were crimes related to Trump and classified documents, and also January 6th and the fake election, the stolen election by Trump.
Well, I was reminded again this morning, he's a man who's been found guilty of numerous crimes. The one described this morning was an outrageous situation where he beat his 3-year-old child to a point where the poor kid couldn't even sit down.
If you could remind me, Senator.
Well, I was reminded.
All right.
And they had an item on there.
Wait.
Chairman, you have my commitment that no one in this country will feel that pain.
Senator Durbin.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, I woke up this morning to National Public Radio, and they had an item on there about what has happened to those who were given blanket clemency by President Trump. One of these individuals was a man named Matthew Huddle. Are you familiar with him?
I'm sorry, what was the last name?
Matthew Huddle.
If you could remind me, Senator.
Well, I was reminded again this morning, he's a man who's been found guilty of numerous crimes. The one described this morning was an outrageous situation where he beat his 3-year-old child to a point where the poor kid couldn't even sit down for a week. Mr. Huddle was one of the demonstrators who came to the Capitol on January 6th. He was incarcerated and charged with, and pled guilty to crimes that he had committed.
Donald Trump letting criminals back into our neighborhoods because they support him, letting more violent criminals into our neighborhoods that are beating their own 3-year-old children. Meanwhile,
Violence against police officers. After he was released by President Trump, he returned to his home state of Indiana. A few days later, he was stopped on the road, pulled a gun on a policeman. The policeman, sheriff's deputy, turned, shot, and killed him.
and putting the weight on our law enforcement, by releasing criminals for political reasons. Violent criminals into the streets. Donald Trump releasing violent criminals. Crazy.
This is not the only instance of a person who received President Trump's clemency committing another crime.
Yeah, we also had a couple child predators that Trump pardoned.
Peter Schwartz was mentioned this morning on the radio. 38 criminal convictions, 38. He'd been sentenced to 14 years in prison. He was released because of the president's unconditional clemency, which was given to him as well. So I guess my question is this. Was President Donald Trump wrong to give blanket clemency to the January 6 defendants?
Remember, you cannot step against the king. You cannot say Trump did one thing wrong. He is king. Kash Patel wrote a book calling Trump king. He is a Trump sexual. He said, Trump is my king. I love Trump. Trump is never wrong. So he's not going to say Trump's wrong about anything. He's going to avoid the question. If I had to guess, he's going to avoid it.
Thank you, Ranking Member. A couple of things on that. One, the power of the presidential pardon is just that, the president.
Okay, so he's the president. Therefore, he gets to pardon child predators and violent criminals. Okay, so it's okay. All right. So he avoids the question there.
Alignment, I concede he has the authority. I'm asking, was he wrong to do it?
And as
He is allowed to do a pardon. Yeah, we know that, Kash. We know. Everyone knows that. Okay? We know that. We know he's allowed to do it.
we discussed in our private meetings,
We're saying, is it bad?
I have
Is he going to say political persecution, maybe?
always rejected any violence against law enforcement, and I have, including in that group, specifically addressed any violence against law enforcement on January 6th, and I do not agree with the commutation of any sentence of any individual who committed violence against law enforcement.
Oh, wow. That's impressive. That's impressive, bro. I'm not going to lie. Not going to lie, bro. That's the first nominee I've heard say one thing at all that even somewhat contradicts Trump in any way. That's crazy. But he does want to get confirmed, and saying that really increases his chances. That's all that really matters for them, is him getting into that spot. He's in a job interview. You know, he can lie about things. But still, I'm surprised he actually said that.
So do you
Which is like the lowest bar. The bar's in hell.
think that America is safer because the 1,600 people have been given an opportunity to come out of serving their sentences and live in our communities again?
Senator, I have not looked at all 1,600 individual cases.
Okay, avoiding that question. He's still avoiding going right at Trump, by the way. He's still avoiding the question.
I have always advocated for imprisoning those that cause harm to our law enforcement and civilian communities.
Is he gonna say Trump made a mistake though? Because even when people call into my show, they can't say Trump made a mistake. Just say, yeah, he was wrong about that. Just say it. Like, it's easy. You're a grown man. You don't gotta be a little baby beta and follow your alpha daddy. Just say you disagree. It's okay to disagree with people. You can disagree, have different opinions. Don't be a little beta.
I also believe America is not safer because President Biden's commutation of a man who murdered 2 FBI agents, Agent Kohler's and Williams' family,
Biden.
deserve better
What about
than
him?
to have the man that
What
point
about
blank
Biden, bro?
range fired a shotgun into their heads and murdered them, released from prison. So it goes both ways.
Leonard Pelletier was in prison for 45 years. He's 80 years old, and he was sentenced to home confinement. So he's not.
Meanwhile, the guy that beat his 3-year-old kid is out and already got into an altercation with the police and was shot and killed days later. Wow, comparing it to an 80-year-old. Good job, Durbin, having the facts ready. Good job, Durbin, bro.
In prison for 45.
Better than to have the man that point blank range fired a shotgun into their heads and murdered them, released from prison. So it goes both ways.
Leonard Pelletier was in prison for 45 years. He's 80 years old, and he was sentenced to home confinement. So he's not free, as you might have just
85 at home
suggested.
confinement. Yeah, he's dead, basically.
That's true, he did, and he went to prison.
We're talking about making America less safe. That guy's not making America less safe. He's 85 years old in confinement to his home. He can't move. He probably can't walk anymore. You see how dumb this is? You see how dumb this is?
For it and should have. My question to you, though, is do you think America is safer because President Trump issued these?
Watch out. Biden let out the wheelchair warrior that's been in jail for 50 years. That's very comparable to the child predators that are now out there assaulting more children because Trump pardoned them, by the way. Thank you, Trump. Making our streets safer and our kids safer. Now our kids can be beaten and assaulted by January 6 people. Because Trump wanted to pardon them for politics.
Pardons to 1,600 of these criminal defendants, many of whom violently assaulted our police in the Capitol.
Senator, America will be safe when we don't have 200,000 drug overdoses in 2 years. America will be safe when we don't have
You're not gonna
50,000
Bring up the border. Bring up the
homicides in a
border.
So
day.
you just won't answer
Avoid the question. Little beta. Little baby beta. Little baby beta can't answer a question.
the question.
I
I'm
am
gonna say,
here.
I should probably be quiet though. I don't want to be on the list. I'm gonna get on the list, bro. I'm gonna be on the Kash kill list.
I don't think we're safer.
Great.
Matthew Huddle was sent back to Indiana. I don't think we're
I
safer.
don't know. Okay, I don't know why it's so hard for Kash Patel to say, yeah, it's not good to release child predators and child assaulters, child abusers. Why can't Kash Patel? Is it really that like hard of an opinion to give? I'm against child abuse. Just say you're against child abuse. You know, not like what about Biden? What about the 90-year-olds Biden released? Like, it's not that hard of a position. You're against child abuse. Trump should not have pardoned the child predators and child abusers and cop beaters as well.
With Peter Schwartz, I could go through a long list of individuals, some of whom were wanted in states, members of this committee. Let me move to another topic if I can. Tell me about your J6 choir. What is that?
Well, it's not my choir. It's simply a recording that was utilized to raise funds for families in need of nonviolent offenders.
Who sings on this recording?
I don't know, Senator.
What did you have to do with it?
Simply to raise funds to assist families of nonviolent offenders whose kids
Bro.
needed college education payments and whose rent needed being paid.
My understanding is that the performers on this J6 choir were the rioters who are in prison.
I'm not aware of that, sir. I didn't have
He's such a Trump sexual. And yeah, they were rioters, by the way.
anything to do with the recording.
You weren't aware of who made the
With the
recording?
recording.
No, Senator.
That's interesting. Did you receive any money for selling copies of that music or that recording?
Absolutely not.
Okay. You do have
about
a
the Trump is the
foundation,
King
though,
book?
do you not?
I'm very proud of the Kash Foundation and the $1.3 million we've given to families in need across this country, including active duty service members, police officers, putting kids in college and helping people in disaster relief areas rebuild their homes and their communities.
Well, he's media trained.
1&0 LLC, are you familiar with that?
He's got
Sorry,
a podcast.
1&0 LLC?
I believe, Senator, you're referring to the LLC that one of the individuals has his private business with.
Is it part of the Kash Foundation in any way?
Only in that one of the members of the board has that LLC for his outside business.
Andrew Hollis?
I believe that's his name, yes.
Yes. Do you know how much was paid to him from your charitable work?
Yes, like any other charity, we had to go out and fundraise, something I'm sure every member of this committee is familiar with. And we use digital marketing campaigns, and I believe we paid a digital marketing company through one another.
Bro, I haven't really heard Durbin before. Durbin's going off. I'm not gonna lie. I gotta listen to more Durbin.
$250,000 to raise $500,000, which we gave away to families in need, like when hurricanes struck Florida, Texas, and North Carolina.
We will be going through the details of your foundation and the expenditures with the questions for record that the chairman has mentioned.
I look forward to
a chance to answer those under oath. Mr. Patel, you frequently associated with and sometimes praised extremist figures with well-documented histories of racism, anti-Semitism, conspiracies, and the like. In September of 2023, you appeared with Laura Loomer at an event promoting your book, this one here. You shared a photo of yourself.
Shout out
and
to Laura
in
Loomer,
which
bro.
You held her book and she held yours. Just a few months before this event,
so cute.
Ms. Loomer posted on X that the September 11 terrorist attacks were, quote, an inside job. Around that time, she accused Florida's First Lady, Casey DeSantis, of exaggerating her cancer diagnosis to gain voter sympathy. A number of my Republican colleagues on this committee have criticized Ms. Loomer's extremism. One of my colleagues described her as a, quote, crazy conspiracy theorist who regularly utters disgusting garbage. Another called her really toxic. Given all of this, why did you associate with Ms. Loomer?
Senator, as you can see, I took a photograph with an individual who showed up at a book event. I don't believe I'm guilty by association.
Who just showed up at a book event. The person who was on the campaign with Trump. Coming out of the plane with Trump. Coming out of the plane. That one person that just came to a book event. She's a random person, bro. She's random. She's random. Laura Loomer? Never heard of her. She's a random fan. Yeah.
And I certainly don't believe that an individual who is the first minority to serve as the Deputy Director of National Intelligence for this country is a racist in any.
Oh my God, bro. Using the identity politics is insane right now. Using the identity politics is crazy, bro. It's crazy. I guarantee you, all the guys that are like, anti-white racism is the #1 problem. All those guys are going to hear this and start salivating like, yes, Kash, you can't be racist. You can't be racist because you're not white. All those same guys who cry about anti-white racism 24/7 are definitely like, oh, wow, Kash, you really own them here.
Anyway, and I detest any conjecture to the contrary.
You familiar with a...
How dare you question my actual statements? Do you not see my skin color? I can be absolved of all responsibility for my actions. It doesn't matter that I've called to murder my political opponents with a kill list. That doesn't matter. Look at my skin color. Look at my identity, bro. If a liberal said that, bro, if a liberal said that while testifying, while doing like a hearing or whatever, bro, they'd be roasted, flamed everywhere.
Stu Peters, does that name ring a bell?
I'm sorry, what?
Are you familiar with Mr. Stu Peters?
Like Stu, like...
Not off the top of my head.
He made 8 separate appearances on his podcast. He promoted outrageous
Stewie from Family
conspiracy
Guy?
theories and worked with a prominent neo-Nazi. They're more Ted Nugent. It goes on.
No, Kash Patel is friends with neo-Nazis, okay? He loves neo-Nazis. He only talks to exclusively neo-Nazis. He hangs out with only neo-Nazis. And, you know, his family's from a country that is is very far right, by the way. And very racist. But, identity, bro.
List goes on. I'm just asking, when it comes to your association with individuals, why are so many of them in this category?
My association, as you loosely define it, is
Yeah, true. The morning where they're blaming the plane crash on DEI hires. DEI hires, bro.
by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories and to...
Wait. Is he saying he's taking on people that were spreading conspiracies? He is the conspiracy. What?
My association, as you loosely define it, is by appearing in media over 1,000 times to take on people who are putting on conspiratorial theories and to devour them of their false impression.
Kash Patel literally said to the same people, I will clean out the FBI and make it a museum because he said that their conspiracies were correct. He didn't disavow the conspiracies. He put more fuel on the fire. He said, you are right about these conspiracies, and I'm gonna show you the truth. He did the opposite. It's crazy how they can lie so easily, bro. They are, dude, they just love to lie. It's crazy.
And to talk to them about the truth. That is something that I will always continue to fight for, Senator.
Senator Graham.
Thank you. We'll eventually talk about the FBI. That's the job you're up here for, right? Have you ever been...
Yeah, his association to neo-Nazi white supremacist groups and also just in general radical groups, his connection to pardoning, Trump's pardoning of January 6th criminals who beat up cops to the point of permanent brain damage, losing eyeballs, losing fingers, abusing children, child predators being released, him having a January 6th choir, him having a book calling Trump God, God Emperor and King, him having multiple foundations that profit off of QAnon. That doesn't matter at all when you're leading the FBI. Having a kill list for your political opponents means nothing when you're, when you want to chair FBI. Yeah, Lindsey Graham. 100%, bro.
Subject to racism as an individual.
But fortunately, Senator, yes. I don't want to get into those details with my family here.
Let's get into a few of them. Tell me about it.
Well, if you look at the record from January 6th, where I testified before that committee, because of my personal information being released by Congress, I was subjected to a direct and significant threat on my life. And I put that information in the record. I had to move. In that threat, I was called a detestable, and I apologize if I don't get it all right, but it's in the record, a detestable sand nigger who had no right being in this country. You should go back to where you came from. You belong with your terrorist home, friend.
There's a 99% chance that came from Laura Loomer. There's like a 99% chance that came from Laura Loomer. That's this type of stuff. Like, the friends Kash Patel has say these things, by the way. I want to know who said this, okay? I want to know who said this.
That's what was sent to me. That's just the
It sounds like a QAnon 4chan poster or a Redditor.
piece of it. But that's nothing
Or like a resident of Springfield, Ohio.
compared to what the men and women in law enforcement.
Remember when what's her name? Who went on with Vivek Ramaswamy and said that they wouldn't vote for him because he's Indian? Was that Ann Coulter? Wait, no, not Ann Coulter. I'm wrong. Yeah, no, it was Ann Coulter. Ann Coulter, a far right winger who they just hate. They're very racist against Indians. So, for example, you can have very far right people like Ann Coulter who talk really bad about different races and nationalities, and they could be on your same ideological side. So you can't make assumptions about where that message came from unless if they have actual reporting and information on where it came from.
Enforcement face every day. And that's why they have my support.
Okay. Growing up, were you subject to racism?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I think the reason...
Sorry, it's not a kill list. It's an enemies. Yeah, it's an enemies list. But if you have an enemies list, okay, that turns into a kill list. Okay, you don't have an enemies list in law enforcement. When you control law enforcement, you don't have an enemies list. You realize that it's a kill list. Like, we just need to call it what it is. We can't just like obfuscate around the issue.
you're here has a lot to do with your work on Crossfire Hurricane. Are you familiar with that FBI operation?
I am, Senator.
So Senator Durbin mentioned the church report and the history of abuse, but he failed to mention Crossfire Hurricane. He failed to mention the Horowitz report. Wonder why? If you're waiting for these guys over here to figure that out, you're going to die waiting. So this is the Nunes memo. You work for Mr. Nunes over on the House side? David Nunes?
Sorry?
Are you familiar with this memo by the Foreign Intelligence Service Act abuses
Yes.
at the Department of Justice?
Absolutely.
Did you help write this memo?
I did as a staffer.
Okay, I'm going to put this in the record.
Thank you.
In this memo, you kind of dissected the abuses of Crossfire Hurricane, right?
I did, Senator.
And the Mueller investigation. So the Crossfire Hurricane investigators, two of them were Strzok and Page. Are you familiar with them?
I am, Senator.
Okay, it was opened up on July the 31st, 2016. And here's what Strzok said. And damn, this feels momentous because this matters. The other one did too, but that was to ensure we didn't F something up. This matters because this matters. So super glad to be on this voyage with you. That's to Page. And Page responds a couple of months later, he's not ever going to be President right, talking about Trump. Strzok, no, he won't. We'll stop it. Is it fair to say that the people in charge of investigating Crossfire Hurricane hated Trump's guts?
Well, you don't have to take my word for it. That statement, along with the statements from the sources.
Are
during the
those days
operations.
over in the FBI, you hope?
Well, if they're not, they will be.
Okay, good. You know who Carter Page was?
I do, Senator.
Do you know
Full loyalty to the king. Full loyalty to the king. Full loyalty to the king. Full loyalty to the king.
Know that the FBI secured warrants against him on 4 different occasions?
Yes, Senator.
Do you know that the information that they relied upon came from the Steele dossier?
I do.
Was it you that were able to find out that the Steele dossier was a bunch of crap?
Yes, Senator, we followed the money and we exposed the fraud that was the Steele dossier.
And the primary subsource was Ignor Danchenko, right?
That's correct, Senator.
And he was actually a Russian analyst.
That's right.
Are you aware that in January he told the FBI that, let's see, what did he tell the FBI? Steele had no proof to support the statements, then it was just talk. The primary subsource explained to the FBI that his information came from word of mouth and hearsay, conversations he had with friends over beers.
By the way, the Steele dossier, so they did find that there was communication between Trump staffers and Russia, but there was no evidence from that report of direct criminal activity between Trump and Russia directly. But Trump did have a lot of former Russian agents on his staff, etc. Nothing exonerated Trump, but there was not enough to say there was any criminal ties. Nothing criminal, okay? Nothing criminal. Nothing clearly criminal. But the investigations were cut down before they went any further. So the idea that they were disproven is not true. Were they unproven or not explored completely? Sure. But the Steele dossier was probably, it's not the most important or most interesting part of what happened. As far as the research, and being, like, having a source being used by the FBI is not the same as having it accepted as fact. Like, if you have different reports, you're going to use it. Just because they accessed it and there was reporting on the report, the dossier, the Steele dossier, it does not mean there's any type of foul play or unfair practice, okay? You can use different forms of evidence and see if it's valid or not. It's okay to investigate things. Unless if you want all loyalty for the king.
And some of the information were statements he heard made in jest. And he told the FBI this in January
That's
of
right.
2017. And they got 2 more warrants after that.
That's correct.
Are you aware that the FBI had volumes of information that the Steele dossier was a bunch of bullshit and nobody ever told anybody at the top?
I am, sir. We exposed
Or
it.
they lied about being told?
That's correct.
So are you aware of the fact that the FISA court rebuked the FBI? Are you aware of the fact that an FBI lawyer went to jail because he misled the court by manipulating a email from the CIA?
I am.
Do you believe that Crossfire Hurricane was one of the most disgusting episodes in FBI history of a corrupt investigation led by corrupt people who wanted to take Donald Trump down?
Yes, sir.
You think that's why you're in this chair today, to fix that?
I think that's a big part of
Without
the
Crossfire Hurricane, this guy wouldn't
By the way, the foul play here was not on the information. It was on the methods of obtaining emails.
be here. And my friends on the other side, like pulling teeth, the Horowitz investigation,
And also obtaining warrants in general. But it was not like, yeah, that says nothing about the information.
the Inspector General, label this.
The FBI lawyer got probation, too. Was there a time when there were nominees for these different departments and they all just were asking questions about them? Because all the Republicans just, like, in all of these hearings, they just do a fluff job. Like, they're just trying to make the person look good.
Fraudulent at its core, mismanaged at its core, running stop signs. At every turn, they went forward when they should.
By the way, make sure you drop a like on the stream. Everyone hit a like. I know no one likes me in chat, but I have 19 likes. We have 500 viewers. Drop a like on the stream, hit subscribe. My usual content is doing call-in shows at night. So if you want to call into my show tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern time, all right? Even if you're in the middle, the right, left, whatever political ideology, join me tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern time. You can call into my show on Discord or with a phone number. Okay, 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Make sure you subscribe so you can join, even if you're a hate watcher or if you like it, okay? That's my normal content. Those are fun shows. 10 p.m. Eastern time tonight. Drop a like and subscribe.
Should have stopped. The Durham report said it was obviously politically motivated. FBI agents were telling anybody and everybody that would listen, this is not reliable, this is not trustworthy, but they plowed on. And because of you and Trey Gowdy and others, we now know about this. Everybody who signed the warrant under questioning by me said if they knew then what they know now, they wouldn't have signed the warrant. Comey said that. Yates said that. Rosenstein said that. The reason you're here is because most of the public, almost every Republican believes that the FBI has been used continuously in a political fashion.
Yeah, they believe that because Daddy Donald Trump did things that are bad, and they don't want them investigating Trump, and they want to protect Daddy Trump. They don't believe that because of anything other than propaganda from people like Kash Patel. Of course, almost all Republicans think it's bad. They think the 2020 election was stolen. They think the 2020 election was stolen, okay? Of course they'll believe anything.
Ignoring evidence, making up evidence, lying to get Donald Trump. And when it came to the Hunter Biden laptop, they told every social media outlet in October 2020, oh, that's Russian disinformation. That was BS too. Right before the election, the FBI intervened to shut reporting on the Hunter laptop.
They did not do this, by the way. Hunter Biden laptop story was down for a day on Twitter.
Down as being Russian misinformation, according to Zuckerberg. Do you promise all
According
of us
to Zuckerberg.
those days are over at the FBI?
Yes, Senator, they are.
Are you proud of what you did to find all that?
Absolutely.
You think that's why you're here today, is to make sure that never happens again?
The
Oh my God, it
American
sounds like a
people
dad
deserve
talking
just
to a
that.
kid.
Thank you.
Senator Whitehouse.
Thanks, Chairman. Welcome, Mr. Patel. I remember January 6th. Colleagues running through our halls to flee the mob. Colleagues shouting that rioters should be shot.
The FBI never mentioned Hunter Biden laptop to anyone, including social media companies. Never. The FBI never said anything to social media companies about the Hunter Biden laptop. That never happened. What happened was the social media companies had stories about this and were asking the FBI to authenticate them, and the FBI would not reveal classified information.
Us returning to our constitutional business through hallways cleared for us by automatic weapons carrying SWAT teams. None of you, none of us, said those violent rioters should be pardoned. A Republican colleague said such pardons would be hard to believe, even absurd. Your former colleague J.D. Vance said the violent rioters should not be pardoned. Even Jim Jordan said pardons would, and I quote, focus on all the people who didn't commit any violence. Well, Trump pardoned all of them. And there's a lesson in that. Every time you think Trump would never go that far, rethink that. We all seem to agree that violence against police is unacceptable, yet more than 600 people who physically attacked Capitol Police officers were just put back on the street, part of a 1,500-person personal Trump army, now out there with people who have proven themselves willing to do violence on Trump's call. In only 10 days, some are already back committing crimes. We've also tried as a committee, together, to address the dangers of illicit drug sales over the internet, and I assume we're all against murder for hire. But Trump also just pardoned a dark web operator sentenced to life in prison for trafficking illegal drugs online and accused of soliciting murders for hire. Those pardons, as Mr. Patel has said, are a mistake, but they are also a signal.
So the FBI's their failure was to alert social media companies that the Biden laptop was real, not mere Russian disinformation. But the messaging on Russian disinformation came from a totally different report, talking about, for example, when the fake whistleblower that's been federally convicted, when the fake whistleblower said that Biden was working with Burisma, the Burisma stuff, the money from Burisma. I thought, dude.
That we are entering a strange and dangerous time. That is the context for today's hearing. Warnings that the FBI could become Trump's enforcer, use the powers of law enforcement to stifle speech and dissent, punish political rivals of either party, and hand out free passes, get out of jail free cards to violent supporters are warnings we should heed. Here are some warnings of this nominee's Trump administration colleagues. Former Attorney General Bill Barr said, this nominee has virtually no experience that would qualify him to serve at the highest level of the world's preeminent law enforcement agency, end quote. And we would never be able to command the respect necessary to run the day-to-day operations of the Bureau. That's for the deputy position. Former CIA Director Gina Haspel was reported threatening to resign rather than have this nominee serve under her. John Bolton, Trump's former national security advisor, said, I didn't think he was qualified. I was forced to hire him. Trump's deputy national security advisor, the nominee's former supervisor, said, his ideas are ludicrous. He's absolutely unqualified for this job. He's untrustworthy. And it's an absolute disgrace to even consider an individual of this nature. That's from Republican appointees who worked with him. And here's what this nominee himself has said.
Nah, bro, those were corrupt Democrats. That's why they said that. They were not Republicans. Those are rhinos, bro. Were they loyalists to Trump? Did they support all hail Trump? I don't think so. Therefore, they were communists.
About using his office to prosecute journalists. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media.
And we will make up crimes. He said we're going to make up crimes. We have an enemies list. We're going to make up crimes to go after them. The leader of the FBI.
We're going to come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly. Is that a correct quotation, Mr. Patel?
Senator, that's a partial quotation.
But it's correct.
That's a partial quotation.
In part.
In part.
Regarding his publication of his enemies list, Mr. Patel proclaimed, the manhunt starts tomorrow, and reposted a video depicting him taking a chainsaw to his political enemies.
If you don't see how this can lead to violence eventually, as you keep going down this road, you're being dishonest with yourself, and you have never read a history book.
Is that you, Kash Patel, reposting that at the top of that page?
Senator, I had nothing to do with the creation of that
Is that you reposting?
Bro, the lack of personal responsibility. Can you own anything, bro? Cancel culture's gone. Take your mask off, bro. Take your mask off.
Posting it was my question.
And that's me at the top.
You said
He sounds like a kid. I did not make the post. Is that you that put the post up and shared it? That's me at the top of the page. It's like they go from like articulate human beings, adults, to like 5-year-olds. The moment they're questioned about anything.
FBI agents were responsible for the violence on January 6th, and I quote you here, beyond a reasonable doubt. Is that what you said?
That's completely incorrect, and I appreciate the opportunity to address that.
I'll give you an opportunity in writing, but this is my time now.
Have at it.
An Inspector Attorney General investigation found that that was false. And you said we should impeach judges who rule against Donald Trump, who are, in your words, political terrorists.
Yeah, because Kash Patel made a book about Trump being king, bro. He made the most Trump-sexual book of all time.
When this nominee tries to explain all this away, keep one thing in mind. He's testified under oath before a Colorado judge who presided over a Trump case in which he was a witness, and the judge found, and I'm quoting here, he was not a credible witness. His testimony is not only illogical, but completely devoid of any evidence in the record. That's from a judge.
This means Kash Patel is really good at lying. He's good at manufacturing consent and making up fake stories, fabrication. So he might sound good. He might be good on podcasts, but he is. And maybe he served well in law enforcement. You could be a good officer, sure, but he's a liar. You can also be a liar who should not be guiding the FBI, who should not be a leader of any organization. He's a liar. He's a really good liar. They are all really effective liars. Watch this and how he chooses his words so carefully during this entire hearing.
This is a dangerous time, and I ask all my colleagues to consider whether these plain comments by this person and by his own Trump administration colleagues should be given a blind eye, just overlooked, or whether, like the warnings of pardoning violent January 6 offenders, there are warnings to be heeded. There is an unfathomable difference between a seeming facade being constructed around this nominee here today and what he has actually done and said in real life when left to his own devices.
Kash Patel also defended pardoning someone that beat up cops and then went to go, well, they abused their 3-year-old son, beat up cops on January 6th, got a pardon, and then got into an altercation with police, another altercation with police a few days later, after getting released by Trump, and got shot and killed by police. And also how Trump pardoned child predators. He just defended that earlier in this hearing. Remember, Kash Patel did that. Make sure you drop a like on the stream. It's really big for the algorithm. Drop a like on the stream, hit subscribe. Like I said, 10 p.m. Eastern time I do call-in shows. I want to see you at 10 p.m. Eastern time. Subscribe, drop a like. Thank you.
Conduct shows character. And if you look at history, you see the danger of security chiefs in authoritarian regimes becoming the tools of political power. The characteristics that they often show are that they are vengeful, that they are grandiose, that they are intemperate, that they are partisan and blindly loyal, and that they are servile and won't say no.
Yep, and every Trump nominee so far refused to say they'd put the Constitution over Trump. All of them swore allegiance to Trump above the American flag. They are loyalists. Kash Patel wrote a book about Trump being king. He believes in QAnon. He made an enemies list of his political enemies, also known as a kill list, if you want to be honest. Because that's what that turns into. That's what that turns into. That's what that always becomes.
I'm afraid that the history of this nominee's conduct raises those warnings.
And this is the kind of thing, okay? This is the kind of thing where you're right historically. So no matter what, time will prove White House correct. And this cycle has repeated in history many times. Time will tell the truth, the real truth, not the truth social. But usually when you find out the truth and you learn your lesson, it's too late and bad things have happened. And we hoped in modern society we'd avoid that. You know, we'd avoid these issues from reoccurring. You learn history, so history does not repeat itself. But we are forgetting. We are forgetting completely. Or we just don't care. For those of us who don't forget, a lot of us just don't care, apparently. They want to go back to it.
Yield my 1 second back.
Before Senator Cornyn, you said you'd like to explain something. I forget the point he made. You can do that now if you want to.
Simply this, Senator. In the collective, all of those statements are taken out of grotesque context. And anyone that
Oh my God, bro. The 60-second TikTok brains are not going to go make sure they validate any of this, bro. It's crazy. He can just say, I never said that. That's not what I meant. Use all the fancy language to skirt around the issue.
My 16 years of service is an exemplary on how I would proceed if confirmed as FBI, is intentionally putting false information into the public ether and creating more public discourse.
False information, okay? False information means things I have said and things I have done, by the way. How dare you quote me? How dare you quote me, bro?
The only thing that will matter if I'm confirmed as a director of the FBI is a de-weaponized, depoliticized system of law enforcement completely devoted to rigorous obedience of the Constitution.
Okay, wait. Okay, we need a...
matter if I'm confirmed as a director of the FBI is intentionally putting false information into the public ether and creating more public discourse. The only thing that will matter if I'm confirmed as a director of the FBI is a de-weaponized, depoliticized system of law enforcement.
Okay, the same guy who has a enemy list, all right, and who has said he's going after the media, whether it's criminally or civilly. He will be targeting them. He will be targeting them, even if they did no crime. He's going to find a way to target Trump's enemies. He wrote a book about Trump being king, a children's book about Trump being king. He believes in QAnon, unironically believes in QAnon. He is insane. He believes all this crazy stuff. And also, he's a liar. He's a very good liar. He's lying about literal quotes that he said being presented to him, saying this is untrue. The quotes of me talking are untrue, he's saying. Fabricating this reality, this fake reality. It's a reality TV show that the Trumpists, the Trump loyalists, the Trump sexuals survive in. It's amazing how you could be like, I don't want politics in this. But by them saying no politics, they mean like no guardrails, essentially. That's what politics is to them. Because they don't want, they don't want to protect any politician, bro. They want to go after him. Because they want violence and fear and destruction. Mayhem.
Completely devoted to rigorous obedience of the Constitution and a singular standard of justice.
Before I
Remember when the FBI said Hunter Biden's laptop was fake? That never happened. The FBI never said Hunter Biden's laptop was fake. They never did that. That was not real. And I just learned that today because I never looked into it because all you guys seem so confident. I never looked into it.
call on Senator Carnan, I'd like to say that we've heard about the January 6th pardons. I think it's important that we remind people at the same time of some pardons by the previous administration. Thomas Sanders, a kidnapper who murdered a 12-year-old girl named Lexus and her mother, Swellen Roberts. Adrian Peeler, a Connecticut drug kingpin who was convicted in the death of an 8-year-old boy and his mother. Leonard Peltier, that's already been referred to, that murdered 2 FBI agents. And even Director Wray, at that time, former Director Wray, said that that shouldn't have happened. And Judge Michael Conahan, who took kickbacks for wrongly sending juveniles for profit detention centers, and Alex Saab, who laundered illicit proceeds for narcotics terrorist Nicolas Maduro, and was a key connection between Venezuela and Iran, and 5 family members of his own family. President Biden did that. Senator.
Welcome, Mr.
Donald Trump pardoned Blackwater war criminals who gunned down civilians, serving life in prison. War criminals. He pardoned Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's father. Charles Kushner, who commit felony federal offenses for money laundering and financial charges. And he tried to hide those charges by committing a sex crime, by recording his brother, setting him up with a sex worker, trying to use that as a way to blackmail his family so they wouldn't testify against him in court. Charles Kushner, Jared Kushner's dad. Charles was pardoned by Trump and made ambassador to France. Donald Trump pardoned multiple men on January 6th who beat up cops with the American flagpole, all right, with lead pipes, cops losing eyes, fingers. And these men that he pardoned were child predators. And one of them abused his 3-year-old child almost to death, was arrested for January 6th, let out, all right, and instantly, a few days later, got killed in confrontation with law enforcement. Donald Trump releasing violent criminals into the streets as long as they're on his team. Don't forget that.
Mr. Patel, do you believe America is an exceptional nation?
It's the greatest nation.
Oh my God, bro. I hate the glazing. The glazing is so sad. It's so, oh my God.
Your family went through a lot to get here,
They sure did.
and your life story is, I think, a great example of people pursuing the American dream. Do you believe a large part of what makes America an exceptional nation is the rule of law?
I love people. Oh yeah. The rule of law. The rule of law is a political thing, though. It's political. They don't care about the law because the rule of law is just like going by the law. Like, they don't care about going by the law. They don't care. On immigration, they don't care. On the federal systems, they don't care. On FBI, they don't care. They don't care about the law. The rule of law to them is just like a dog whistle at this point. By the way, people saying Trump is rent-free in your head, my guy. Trump is rent-free in my head. He's the president of the most powerful country in the world. The government is rent-free in your bedroom. The government is rent-free in your home. The government is rent-free in your bank account, okay? That's why I care. Obviously.
It is one of the fundamental precepts that determines that.
And why is that?
Because without a singular application of a rule of law, we go back to the Uganda that my father fled in Idi Amin.
Bro, Kash Patel, you're literally advocating for a legal system that's like public military tribunals. Unless if you're, I mean, maybe Kash Patel is cosplaying. He might be cosplaying. He might be another member of the elite, okay, who is just playing this. Like, they're all actors, so they might be playing roles because their ultimate goal is to get power. They want to get power in the government. So Kash Patel may not be crazy. He might just be a grifter. That's possible. That's possible because I guarantee you RFK is not actually anti-vax. RFK is a smart guy. RFK is not he's not anti-vax. He makes money from being anti-vax. So there's a chance all these guys, including Tulsi. Tulsi went from being a Bernie bro to a Biden bro to a Trump bro. All right? Within like 4 years. Literally 4 years. These guys they don't have ideologies. They don't care about anything. So they might be lying about this. We can't really tell. They might just be here to make money for the rich. And I mean, that's still just as dangerous because they'll go after political opponents and stuff. But I mean, who knows? Who knows what they're being truthful about? I don't know. You know? I mean, they're willing to lie about like basic quotes that they've said. So who knows?
I believe that the two most important institutions in America to preserve and protect and enforce the rule of law are the FBI and the Department of Justice. And the sort of politicalization that Senator Graham and others have already talked about during the Crossfire Hurricane investigation or project of James Comey at the FBI and the abuse of intelligence tools like Title I of Section 702 are a betrayal of American values and adherence to the rule of law. And I think your biggest task is going to be, along with Pam Bondi at the Office of the Attorney General, is to restore.
Pam Bondi is one of the, in terms of legal professionals, Pam Bondi has received more corporate money than I think anyone in American history. She's one of the most corrupt people to ever live. If you look up Pam Bondi's record, she's fully corrupt. But she loves Daddy Trump, so we like him. We like her.
The rule of law to the Department of Justice and the FBI. Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely, Senator.
Without regard to partisan affiliation or politics?
Absolutely.
Do you believe President Trump, as the commander-in-chief, needs access to all of the lawfully available intelligence that can be collected by the American intelligence community in order to inform him so that he can make good judgments as commander-in-chief?
I don't know. What kind of question is this? Are they going to expand the Patriot Act even more? Because I know Trump expanded it. Did Biden expand it? I'm pretty sure Bush had the Patriot Act. Obama expanded it, right? Trump expanded it, I assume. Did Biden expand the Patriot Act? I have to look this up. I'm kind of curious.
To assure the safety and security of the American people?
Having been responsible for the collection and predication and promulgation of that intelligence, I firmly believe he and every president must have it.
And so you would not support any impractical or perhaps immaterial or unworkable ways to inhibit the flow of that information to President Trump?
No, I would not.
So let me just ask you.
So Biden reauthorized FISA. Trump reauthorized FISA, I think. Or not reauthorized. Obama extended. Trump, they almost extended it. They still re-upped on it. Interesting. So it seems like Trump or Biden didn't do direct extensions. That's interesting. Okay, but Obama passed a law. Oh, wait, no. Obama made it more transparent. Oh, okay. So I guess it actually got better after Bush. Biden made it, or Obama made it more transparent in 2015 with the USA Freedom Act. And then after that, it's been extended and it hasn't been changed that much. Interesting.
You and I have talked about this a number of times, and this has come up before in a number of different contexts. But as I've always said, I think Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act is the most important law that most Americans have never heard of.
That's FISA.
But when I was questioning my fellow Texan, John Ratcliffe, who now has been confirmed as the director of the CIA, about this, we talked about some of the reforms that have been made to Section 702 over the years. This has been an ongoing conversation here in Congress. People like my colleague here, Senator Lee, and others have proposed reforms, which I think have gone a long way to help protect the privacy rights of American citizens.
Prohibit U.S. person inquiry term solely designed to find evidence of a crime. Prohibit U.S. person query solely to find evidence for a crime. Increase damages by 10 times for violations of FISA. Require FBI to submit an annual report. Require declassification of it. Impose new compliance measures for FBI query procedures. Mandatory audits. Higher level supervisory. Amend FISA's and foreign intelligence definition to permit more
Citizens.
efforts to
But let me
counter
just
counter
point out
narcotic
some of the
collection.
improvements that have been
Oh,
made
he's going
over
to point it out.
Senator,
Okay.
I do.
And I think Senator Tillis, with his typical outstanding graphics, has a wonderful handout which lays all of that out. But one of the things that's come up, and we've discussed this, is the idea that in order to query lawfully collected intelligence under Section 702, that somehow if a U.S. person's name is involved, that a warrant would be required. Now, you're a lawyer who's represented defendants as a public defender. You understand that what probable cause is required, what sort of evidence is required to be produced to a judge in order to get a warrant. Do you believe a warrant requirement is a practical and workable or even a necessary element of 702?
If I may just give some context on that, Senator. Having a background not only utilizing FISA and 702 as a national security prosecutor, but as a civilian at JSOC and later as an intelligence official and the Deputy Director of National Intelligence, 702 collection formulates over 45% of the presidential daily briefing that you referred to earlier.
I actually have heard it's as high as 60%, but anyway, it's a lot.
It's a lot. And the issue for me is not with FISA and 702. The issue has been those that have been in government service and abused it in the past. And so we must work with Congress to provide the protections necessary for American citizens. Dealing with these matters, including hostage rescue operations in real time, which we use FISA collection to find and save American hostages, having a warrant requirement to go through that information in real time is just not comportive with the requirement to protect American citizenry. I'm all open to working with Congress on finding a better way forward, but right now, these improvements that you've made go a long way.
Well, and Director Ratcliffe said that he did not believe that, given the context of 702 collection, whether a foreign target communicates.
All right. There you go. Perfect.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Patel, I think you know that I have great respect for the men and women of the FBI, their mission, fidelity, bravery, integrity. I believe they deserve a director who respects their work and sacrifices, and they deserve a director who's focused on their mission. This is not about bingo cards or games. This is not about revenge. This is about the safety of our country and the people that work in the.
I feel like asking a question in a different context that's more disarming would be beneficial. So for example, when you said this comment, why did you say this? Or why did you share this video? Like, why would you say this about officials? Are you just like memeing around? Are you joking? Is this something you intend to act on? Instead of showing a picture of Truth Social and being like, wow, is this you? Did you really post this? Is this your account? Is this your account? This is dangerous. Instead of doing that, say, hey, can you please explain why did you share this video of sawing off our heads? You know, why do you want to saw off our heads? Why do you want to go after people who commit no crime because they're just because they're your political enemies? Why did you say this? Provide some context. I feel like being a little bit more disarming would look better. It would look better optically to viewers and also be harder for them to answer and lie about because they would need to give more of a genuine sounding answer.
The FBI, and the FBI runs on facts. It runs on truth. Truth matters, and without truth, the whole system breaks down. You said that Donald Trump has every right to tell the world that in 2020, 2016, and every other election in between was rigged by our government because they were. Yes or no, did you say that?
I don't have that statement in front of me. But
Okay, that was from August 27th, 2023 Thrive Time show. I'll put.
Now, right now, ask, why did you say that? Why did you? Can you please explain why you said that? Do you believe the elections were stolen? Or like, I don't know. I feel like she's gonna ask. She's gonna ask if the election was stolen, right? She's gonna ask if he believes the election was stolen.
Put it on the record. These claims made in that statement were rejected by courts, including by Republican judges.
So Kash Patel's position is that a warrant should not be required to search the communications of Americans under FISA 702. Search and seizures. I did kind of gloss over that. So Kash Patel, for the people in chat who are like real people, why did Kash Patel say that? Because he seems like very Kash Patel, he has a position that a warrant should not be required to search the communications of Americans under FISA 702. So they should not need a warrant. So wouldn't like free speech or like, I don't know, freedom of information or like a Fourth Amendment or whatever, like freedom from search and seizures and, you know, having your information protected in anti-Patriot Act people, wouldn't you be mad at him saying that?
Is that correct?
I don't have enough of the facts in front of me to make that assessment.
I will put that statement on the record, but I think everyone in this committee, including the Republican members, knows that these statements were rejected by courts. You were asked about the police officers in the Capitol who testified in the January 6 hearings, and you accused them of lying. Is that correct or not correct?
I don't think that's accurate.
Okay, Joe Pack's podcast, March 2024, we'll put it on the record. I was there. The police officers were heroes that day.
Yes.
Did you post on your personal social media account in May of 2024, January 6th, never an insurrection, cowards in uniforms exposed. They broke the chain of command.
I believe you're referencing a post that was shown in part earlier. I don't have it in front of me.
You posted it, and it was on your account, and we will again put that out there once more.
But you need your own. Have him explain that post. Have him back up those comments. Have him back it up. I know this is about like giving evidence.
As we go
like
on,
presenting
I
for
don't
the
want to lose
record.
any more time on this, but every one of these, there's a record of it, and you haven't answered. You promoted a COVID vaccine reversal or detox supplement. One scientist said, I quote, "None of these substances in any form would minimize side effects from a COVID-19 vaccine." That is preying on innocent people. Did you perform clinical trials before you made that claim?
I'm not a doctor, so no.
But you did promote this supplement and told people that it would reverse or mitigate the side effects from COVID vaccine.
Did I give people an opportunity to make an independent choice for what's best for their families? Yes.
You did that last year, correct?
I don't have it in front of me again, Senator.
Mr. Patel, the FBI tackles some of the most complex threats that we face: terrorists, hostile foreign powers, violent gangs, fentanyl, criminal organizations. Your mission, though, has been to go after people. I've looked at it. I've read this stuff. Yes or no? When Trump wins, did you say this? When Trump wins in 2024 and is in power in 2025, we can prosecute them, referring to Justice Department officials for an actual RICO statute violation, for criminally organizing the United States government to break the law to rig presidential elections. Did you say that, yes or no?
Again, Senator, you're reading a partial statement, so I'm unable to fully respond.
Okay, again, we'll put it on the record. X22 report podcast 20. That is from, I'll get you the date, about a year ago. One of the names on your list was
It's been a year, bro. It's been a year. He changed.
Bill Barr. Chairman Grassley has called him one of the most capable cabinet officials I've ever been able to vote for. Senator Graham has said, I have nothing but total respect and admiration for the job done by William Barr as Attorney General of the United States. Is Bill Barr on your list of whatever you want to call them, been referred to as an enemies list? You've called them deep state after serving his country as the Attorney General of the United States. Is he on your list because of a personal vendetta?
Well, it's not whatever we want to call it, Senator. With all due respect, it's not an enemies list. That is a total mischaracterization.
I asked you, I actually used the words you used for the list, which was deep state, right? That's what you put at the top.
It is a glossary
against
in
the
the
Attorney
back.
General of the United States. Is it because of a personal vendetta that he's on the list? You're under oath.
I have no personal vendetta against Bill
Okay,
Barr.
he said about you, you would never be able to command the respect necessary to run the day-to-day operations of the Bureau. That was actually in writing in his book. He had virtually, about you, no experience that would qualify you to serve at the highest level of the world's preeminent law enforcement agency, and that your appointment, as noted by Senator Durbin as Deputy Director to the FBI, would happen over his dead body. Is it, yes or no, why you would put him on the list of deep state as a former Attorney General, Trump Attorney General of the United States, because he wouldn't break the law for Donald Trump? Is that why?
Absolutely not.
As you know,
I mean, Kash Patel has said that's why. Also, one of the big things they do talk about government corruption, then they get into power and push blame on other people. So Republicans today are blaming the plane crash on DEI, by the way. They're blaming the plane crash on DEI. DEI. Crazy. But how long can they blame it on BS? You know, how long can they blame issues on BS? When Biden was in office, the drone issue was a big conspiracy, all right? Donald Trump's administration comes out and says, nothing was crazy, guys. The drones were nothing. It was all FAA approved. You know, they were registered aircrafts. Some were hobbyists. Everyone just believed it. Everyone just believed the drones are now just a normal story. But when they were out of government, the Trump administration was like, wow, this is a big deal. The Trump administration acted like it was like we were like Republicans said we were being invaded. We were being invaded by the drones. And Trump said, no, guys, it's normal. And everyone just believed it. But I guarantee you, if Biden gave that exact answer about the drones, if he said it wasn't a conspiracy theory, it was not like a crazy thing, I guarantee you Republicans would be saying, Biden's hiding the drones. Biden's hiding the drone secret.
no, he repeatedly told the president in no uncertain terms that he did not see evidence of fraud that would have affected the outcome of the election. Did you say in February of 2021 that the election stuff was never my job and I stayed out of that stuff?
Again, I don't know what comment you're referring to, but I'm sure you're reading a piece of something.
You said it on Pushback on a podcast. Is it true, though, that in December of 2020, you reached out to the Trump acting Deputy Attorney General and asked him to investigate a conspiracy theory claiming that people in Italy had used military technology and satellites to remotely tamper with voting machines in the U.S. and switch votes for Trump from Trump to Biden? Is that true?
What was the date?
That was out of December of 2020.
I was chief of staff to the Department of Defense, so I don't believe that's accurate in any way.
That came out of testimony before Congress. I will give it to you. Have you referred to the media as the most powerful enemy of the United States that they have ever seen? Is that right?
Again, you're reading a quote. I take that you're
Speech to
reading it accurately.
CPAC 22324. You said we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens who helped Joe Biden rig the elections. We're going to come after you, whether it's criminally or civilly. Is that something you said?
At least he did not say physically, you know? At least he didn't say that part yet.
That's a partial statement of what I said.
Steve Bannon's podcast. You also said you would put the entire fake news mafia press corps on your list. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
I don't have that in front of me.
Benny Johnson's podcast.
Every answer, he can just say, I don't understand this. I don't have it in front of me. If you have short-term memory loss that bad, you should not be in this position regardless. But also, I think this whole system that we use to confirm these nominees is outdated now. This does not explain people's lies. This does not explain, it does not expose lies. It does not explain, why people can or cannot serve, because the public watches these, and all you got to do is, look like a badass and say no to the woman answering or asking you questions, and people are going to say you look like an alpha. We need a new system where it's not just yes or no questions. Have them explain themselves. It needs to be more conversational, probably. But the system is outdated. We need a new way to do this. We need a more modern way to do this. Obviously, this is not working. The way we do these trials and everything's political now. So even these confirmation hearings, we need to change something, or the system's going to fall apart. Because the fact that these guys can get on here and lie, RFK, Tulsi, Gabbard, and Kash Patel, three of the most notorious liars of all time, especially Tulsi. But they can come up here and lie and look effective because the platform allows for it. It allows for them to be propagandists. I don't know how to fix it, though.
8/21/23. You have said that the FBI, including today, you said that they remain utterly corrupt. This is an agency with agents who have taken down terrorists, taken down bank robbers, taken down crime.
Well, it just makes it look like they're in a whoever the person answering questions is. It makes it easy for she can ask a really loaded question, yes or no, and if she's right, for example, she can be right about something, but he can just be like, partial statement, or I'm not answering that. It doesn't give an option to make him look like silly answering it if she's right. And if she's wrong, he doesn't have a chance to actually disprove it. So like there's nothing being proved or disproven. There's no conversations at all. I'm not learning anything from this. So I understand like if you don't pay attention to politics like as much as I do, I understand watching this and being like, what the hell's going on? Like what are they even talking about? What are they talking about? I don't know.
And you wrote that the FBI has become so thoroughly compromised that it will remain a threat to the people unless drastic measures are taken. Do you know that under Chris Wray's leadership, he took over at a very difficult time, we all know that, appointed by President Trump, that during his tenure, the applications to the FBI has in fact tripled? Do you think people would be applying to that agency like in those numbers if they thought it was so corrupt?
The American public's trust in it is at 40%. That's an all-time low.
Did you say that the FBI headquarters should be shut down and reopened as a museum of the deep state?
Mr. Chairman, are we allowed to go an extra time?
Let's see, you get a second round. Before I call on Senator Lee.
Could he just answer the question if he said that the FBI headquarters, where they investigate cybercrime and terrorism, should be shut down and opened as a deep state?
Hey, Mr. Chair.
As a museum? Did he say that the headquarters should be shut down?
Mr. Chair.
I deserve an answer to that question. He is asking to be head of the FBI, and he said that their headquarters should be shut down.
Mr. Chair, parliamentary inquiry.
You got anything you want to say, Mr. Patel, before I go on to Senator Lee?
Simply this. If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations.
Oh my God, bro. See what I mean? Because now she looked emotional. I know what Twitter's going to say. She frantically is asking a question, which is a big question, obviously. A huge question. You're putting our security at risk if you open up the FBI, make it a museum, and shut it down. You're putting Americans at risk. And he gets to be like...
Simply this. If the best attacks on me are going to be false accusations and grotesque mischaracterizations, the only thing this body is doing is defeating the credibility of the men and women at the FBI.
See what I mean? You're defeating the credibility. You're making people less trustful of the system. Now he gets to do his little campaign statement, his propaganda statement.
I stood with them here in this country.
I stood with them here in this country. Here he goes. Here goes the popular messaging. Great.
Every theater of war we have, I was on the ground in service of this
nation. Dude, this
nation.
is such a prepared speech. I feel like I'm watching Hamilton. Holy crap, dude. Go do Broadway. Oh, I hate the political process. This is such a bad way to do this. It's a terrible way to do this.
And any accusations leveled against me that I would somehow put
She's quoting you. She's quoting you.
political bias before the Constitution
She's quoting you. These are things you've said. Yet she's quoting you directly.
are grotesquely unfair.
She's
And I
quoting you
will
directly.
have you reminded that I have been endorsed by over 300,000 law enforcement officers.
She's still quoting you directly. You can stand up for your own, like what you've said. You could have some personal responsibility. Own what you said. Like explain what you said. Why did you say that?
To become the next director of the FBI. Let's ask them.
Mr. Chairman, I am quoting his own words.
Exactly. You're quoting his exact words. But I guarantee you, again, if you like Trump and you watch this, you think she sounds emotional because you don't have any critical thinking.
From September of 2024. It is his
And look at him. He's so cool, avoiding responsibility, avoiding the question. It's so alpha to be a beta baby, cry baby, and run. To hide from questions. It's so alpha to hide from tough questions. So alpha of him.
words. It is not some conspiracy. It is what Mr. Patel actually said.
1984, when they ask you to deny the, what your eyes see, and when you actually hear them say, I never said that, bro. 1984, in real time.
Said himself. Facts matter.
You forget that you had 3 minutes in the next round to say what you just said.
Okay, I'll say him again.
Okay. Before
Good job, Amy. You're out here doing it. How old is Amy Klobuchar now? Is she like 70 now? Because she was like 50 something or 60 something when she ran for president. Klobuchar. She's 64.
before I call Lee.
Mr. Chair, just parliamentary inquiry, and it was on time. It wasn't disputing any of the debate, but I intend to keep to my 7 minutes, and I appreciate you keeping everyone to it. If we go over, can we have that decrement against the time in the second round? If a member goes over, that was actually 10 minutes, Mr. Chair.
Oh my God, bro. Now they care about process. Now they care about process. Now they care about process, bro. Now they're like, bro, the rule book. Look at the rule book, guys. What about the rules? They only watch the rules if it suits them. Now we care about the rules, guys. 7 minutes. Now we care about the rules.
I'm not sure that I want to.
It's like a guy that like complains about fouls on the basketball court when you're playing pickup, and then he calls fouls the rest of the game after complaining about you calling a foul. It's just like
Sometimes it's faster to get things done here, just letting people shout and and than it does to shut them up.
Mr.
But
Chairman.
You're a wise man, Mr.
before
Chair.
we-
Thank you.
before we
Mr.
go
Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Before we go to Lee.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, what do you want?
I love how he still never answered the question. Kash Patel still never had that. He never had never answered the question about the open museum, shutting down the FBI offices. He never answered that question still. I'm sure he's going to be asked again, but it's still kind of crazy.
I love this guy. Mr. Chairman, I'm unlike Senator Tillis. I mean, if we're going to start this, I want an extra 3 minutes.
Well,
Now, my
Are we really going to waste another 5 minutes talking about
friend
this?
Senator Klobuchar went 3 minutes over.
So, here what you're saying is the chairman wasn't a very good chairman by not shutting her up. But I've gone through this before, and I think I know how to handle it and get
I
this
think
done.
I think you're a star-spangled awesome chairman. I just want to say that for the record. But if you're going to let somebody over there go 3 minutes over, I want my extra 3 minutes.
There's no reason for you to go 3 more minutes. You're going to glaze him. You're not going to ask him any questions. I guarantee you he's not going to ask one question. He's going to be like, are you amazing? Kash Patel's going to be like, yes, I am. He's going to be like, are you daddy's pretty girl? Kash Patel's going to be like, yes, I am daddy's pretty girl. Like, it's going to be that. Like, you don't need the extra 3 minutes for you. You're not going to ask questions.
Let's see
You're a
if it's
partisan hack.
abused by anybody else before we make that decision.
I'm just telling you, I'm going to abuse it.
Well, I'm not going to let you abuse it.
You're
I want to do like a skit. I wish I had like a studio, bro. Because it'd be such a good skit where Democrats like asking questions for the nominee. Like, so Kash Patel, Kash, you said you want to shut down the FBI, make it a deep state museum. You have an enemies list. You're going to go after your political opponents in some way. If they defy Donald Trump, you said you wrote a book about Trump being God and a king, and you follow QAnon and blah, blah, blah. And can you answer these questions? And Kash Patel's like, no, I never said that. And the Democrats like, well, I'm quoting you directly. I'm quoting you directly. You did say this. And Kash Patel's like, I had never said that. And then it's like, okay, time is up, Democrat. And then the Republican comes up, okay, and starts asking questions. And the Republicans' questions are you daddy's pretty girl? It's like, yeah, I am daddy's pretty girl. Are you amazing? Yeah, I am amazing. That's the only questions Republicans actually ask. That'd be a great little skit.
good man, Mr. Chairman.
Before I go to Lee, I want to put a statement in the record from 56 former FBI agents wrote to this committee to support this nominee. Quote, never has the FBI faced such an urgent and compelling need for comprehensive reform as it does today. Mr. Patel has proven he possesses the breadth of experience required to address these challenges. His leadership, expertise, and vision make him uniquely qualified to guide the FBI through this pivotal moment. For these reasons, we stand in full support of Kash Patel's nomination. Any objection? So ordered.
I'm pretty sure the FBI has like 20,000 or 30,000 employees. So, I mean, if you talk about former FBI, it could be literally hundreds of thousands of people. But it is interesting when they bring out their letters. So, like, they all do this, but Democrats and Republicans, they'll say, like, 50 teachers supported my movement. And then, you know, Republicans will say, well, 50 firefighters supported mine. Then Democrats will be like, well, 50 former generals supported us. And then Trump will be like, well, 50 former Army supported us. So I guarantee you could find, like, out of those 30,000, 100,000, 300,000, 500,000, whatever the number is, former agents, you can find people who are pro or against anybody. So I wonder if Democrats will have a little, we have 100 FBI agents saying, don't do this nominee, don't do it.
Mr. Lee.
Mr. Patel, while we're talking about your awards, let's talk about the cowards in uniform comment for a moment, can we?
Please.
Would you like to tell us what that was? Put it in context, help the committee understand what that was about.
I think it's important. Thank you, Senator. During that time on January 6th, I was serving as chief of staff at the Department of.
Now, Democrats should ask questions in that same format, but about tough questions. So why did you say you want to close down the FBI? Why did you say QAnon stuff? Why did you say Trump is king? You know, why did you say you're going to go after political opponents without any due process or whatever, or you're going to with no crime? Why did you say this? Have him put that into context, you know?
And days prior, we had received the authorization.
Democrats and liberals are obsessed with talking instead of letting the other person talk. Sometimes you need to let the other person kind of get themselves in a bad position. You have to lead them to a bad position. You're not going to like force them to look bad, especially when they're very media trained. Someone who's very media trained, you got to put some work in there. You got to put some work in.
From the president to issue the National Guard to protect you and your colleagues. But as you know, the law requires a request before the deployment of that guard. That request did not come in until the afternoon of January 6th. Once that request came in, this unfortunately, as has been confirmed by his own testimony, I believe, the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, failed to immediately deploy the National Guard and instead took a break to speak to media and make personal phone calls. That endangered the safety of you and your colleagues. And if you look at the Biden Inspector General report, we at the Department of Defense authorized the fastest cold start of the National Guard since World War II and the largest occupation since the American Civil War. And the Biden Justice Department said that we, including myself as Chief of Staff when it came to the deployment and employment of the National Guard, acted swiftly and without undue delay.
So that's what you were talking about. And that's why you had the reference to the UCMJ. Tell us what that means.
The Uniform Code of Military Justice is for uniform officers who betray the code of justice and also act inappropriately. And I thought any delay to have the National Guard arrive on scene here must be called out, whether it was a fellow Republican or not, especially someone under my auspices running the Department of Defense.
Okay, so moments ago, when Senator Durbin displayed a chart with that quote, there was a reference in part of it to the UCMJ. That's what it was referring to.
Yes, sir.
Those were the cowards in uniform. Those people who didn't do what they were supposed to do, and a lot of people were put in danger as a result.
That's correct, Senator.
Okay, thank you. That's very good to know. I do find it significant that we've heard all kinds of aspersions cast in your direction by people who do not know you, by people who do not share your worldview, by people who do not share your commitment to the Constitution or your commitment to public service.
See what I mean? They ask questions to say, you're daddy's pretty girl. Are you daddy's pretty girl? Who's a good boy? Me? I'm a good boy. I love the
find it
Constitution.
astounding that they're willing to say this amidst such great ignorance, and I find it equally heartening that the 56 former FBI officials who know you best, who have worked with you, who actually know who you are, who actually share your view of the Constitution, of the view that you ought to be a law enforcement agency and not a weapon of political warfare. These are the people who stand by you. Those who cast aspersions don't share those views. Would I be correct in surmising that?
Yes, sir. Let's
talk about the Fourth Amendment for a moment. The Fourth Amendment tells us that in order for the government to breach your expectation of privacy.
By the way, when you talk about FBI agents, there are letters with a lot of FBI agents. I can't find the exact number, but there's multiple letters from groups of former agents saying that they should not accept Kash Patel by any metric or in any way. So they bring up letters of people that want to support Kash Patel, but they did not bring up the letters of those that want to go against Kash Patel. And the whole claim from the letter from the former agents that are against Patel are talking about retribution against political rivals and undermining civil rights. And it cites actual legal precedent. It cites historical accounts of the FBI and also just historically how intelligence agencies have always acted and how Patel wants to use it to go against American people. But there's like 23 organizations. There's 23 organizations that are backed by FBI agents that signed on to letters against Kash Patel. So like acting like we got 50 of your friends or former colleagues to sign on for you. It's not like a big win because obviously you have some people who are going to like you. It's a big world. You could be anyone. You could be literally anyone historically. People have liked you. You know, any leader has a support base. Any person has a support base and friends. But you can find people on the opposite side too. So never take that into account without reading into the substance. You should have your own opinion and your own substance based off of those credentials and based off what the arguments are that they actually make.
Relative to your person, your home, your papers. They want to search.
Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Make sure you drop a like and subscribe. Again, like I said, I have a call-in show, okay? I do call-ins every night at 10 p.m. Eastern time, sometimes 9 p.m. Last night I started at 8 p.m. actually, so I start pretty early sometimes, pretty early. You can either text me. Well, actually, no. Jola Talks Politics is my email for inquiries. If you want to do an interview, if you want to do a debate, if you want to have a conversation, you could email me there with your first name, the number you want to call from, and also give me your topics you want to discuss, okay? jolatalkspolitics@gmail.com. I'll put that email in the description or in the comments or the chat, whatever. Or if you have anything you want to send me, any tips for the show, any ideas for the show, definitely send them in. That's my normal content is call-in shows. Also, if you want to donate to the stream, Cash App, Venmo, and PayPal at Jola Politics is the best way to do that. You can send a message on there as well. Cash App at Jola Politics, JOLAHPOLITICS. Jola Politics on Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. And Jola Talks Politics on Gmail, at gmail.com to email me about coming on the show and scheduling something. Thank you. Thank you. Subscribe, like, thank you.
That if they want to seize you, they've got to get a warrant. And that warrant has to describe with particularity the persons or places to be searched or to be seized and to connect them up with a showing of probable cause. Now, in the case of FISA 702, we're dealing with a somewhat different universe. Now, moments ago, we heard some discussion about FISA 702, about suddenly we've got a different FISA 702 than what we had when President Trump was last in office. Is that true? Because by my count, FISA 702 has not changed substantively since President Trump was in office last.
That's correct.
Okay. And there was also some back and forth discussion about FISA 702 and the use of it and the fact that in real time, it might not work to get a warrant. This, in my view, misses the point. The concern that the American people have with FISA 702 is not about the real-time collection of communications regarding foreign targets. The concern is that once those communications are stored, you have within them what are referred to as incidentally collected communications of Americans, text messages, emails, recorded phone calls, and so forth. If they want to go in and search for someone, let's say you, if someone wants to go into one of those databases after they've been collected, let's say if you're unwittingly communicating with somebody who, unbeknownst to you, happens to be an agent of a foreign power or otherwise under surveillance under FISA 702. If they wanted to search for you, they wanted to enter your name, your phone number, your email address, or some other personal electronic identifier, would they have to get a warrant to do that under current law?
Under current law, I believe so, Senator.
Under current law, they routinely access that without getting a warrant. In order to access it, they've got their own internal procedures. They're not supposed to use this for light or transient reasons. They're supposed to have a perfectly good reason, and yet we found that on hundreds of thousands of occasions, they have accessed the private communications of Americans, searching for those individual Americans by name, by number, by email address, whatever it is, without a warrant or anything tantamount to it. On occasion, they've even been used for overtly nefarious reasons. One agent deciding to look in on his father because he suspected his father might be having an extramarital affair. On another occasion, an agent looked at people who were thinking about renting an apartment from him to make sure they were upstanding citizens and could be trusted. Are these appropriate?
So yeah, basically, if you are under 702, which was passed under Bush to expand the Patriot Act in 2008, you can surveil or intercept communications from a non-U.S. citizen for foreign security or foreign intelligence, security, etc. And you could intercept that information, but sometimes U.S. citizens' information would be intercepted as well. So the question is, do you need a warrant to obtain information if it includes a U.S. citizen? So if I intercept someone who's considered to be like a danger, but they have contact with a U.S. citizen, can we still obtain all the records, including the U.S. citizens' records? And can we keep that on file as well with no warrant? So he's saying how it's a threat to freedom, because a lot of people are anti that because it's against your constitutional rights. But under current law, although it's not legal to take U.S. citizens' data like that, sometimes they still maintain it. So I guess that's the big debate moving forward, and that's the one that he's talking about. So Kash Patel here might make his base angry if he says the wrong answer.
Appropriate uses of FISA 702.
As you alluded to, the FISA court, it's not me deciding it. The FISA court put out a report in 22 or 23 where 255,000 illegal improper queries of American citizens had occurred. 255,000 reasons why the American people don't trust it. And that's what we must work together, Congress and me, if I'm confirmed as FBI director, restore that trust and protect the mission.
Music to my ears, because I've been a U.S. Senator for 14 years. I've been on this committee the entire time. You were the very first FBI director or FBI director nominee who, when I've asked about this, hasn't said, oh, don't worry about it. We'll handle it okay. We've got good people on the inside. We would never breach the trust of the American people. Do you know what? They were lying. I was willing to believe that they thought they were telling the truth, but they were mistaken. But they were lying. Time has told us that they were lying. You will not lie, and that's why I wholeheartedly support you.
Other people have lied. You have not, or you will not lie. That's why I support you. I mean, that kind of framing is just crazy.
In the closing seconds that I have, I want to add my dismay and my disgust for the fact that you've been smeared, you've been attacked. You've been associated with racism, with being a Nazi. You are none of those things, sir. Just as your father...
Okay. He should stop being best friends with neo-Nazis then. And he should stop spreading conspiracy theories about QAnon. And he should stop having enemies lists. Like, he should stop saying the things he's saying and doing the things he's doing. And he won't be accused of those things. Like, he's doing the things. Okay? He's doing the things. That's why people are accusing him. It's not because they're making it up. They're quoting him directly. They're quoting him directly.
father lives as a racial minority in Uganda. You've been raised as a racial minority in this country, and you've been nothing but a patriot. Your commitment to the Constitution, to the rule of law, and to the American people is remarkable.
And like, I feel like the whole conversation around like giving credit to someone for being raised as a racial minority, I feel like the entire DEI, anti-DEI push, unless if they're just targeting black and brown people, in the U.S., like, or just mainly black people. I don't even know. With DEI, I guess it is mainly black people under attack because they have the whole thing about like, oh, the black pilots can't fly, although that's not true at all. I feel like would they ever say this about a nominee who is black? Like, you've suffered through discrimination and understand being a minority, so that is a benefit. Like, would they ever say that about someone who's black or who's a liberal? I mean, because I feel like when liberals say that, if a liberal says that exact quote about someone, they're going to be called a lot of crazy things by both the left and the right, by the way, if they just explicitly say it like that. But like, I don't know. Maybe they're just anti, certain groups. I don't know.
And I'm honored to know you, to call you my friend, and to give you my vote. Thank you.
You're my friend.
Senator Coons.
Thank you.
That's what you should be doing when you're having a confirmation hearing. You're my friend. You're my bestie. You're amazing. I love you. You're not going to lie. You're perfect.
Chairman Grassley, Mr. Patel, to you and your family, congratulations on your nomination. And we had a constructive conversation last week. I appreciate your taking the time. In particular, a conversation about the prosecution of the World Cup bomb.
Okay, I'm going to delete this comment for security purposes. Okay. I understand, but
bombing in Uganda that took the life of a Delawarean whose family I knew, I found moving. But the role you've been nominated for is central to our security as a nation, central to the protection of our constitutional rights. And I voted to confirm Trump's previous FBI director, Chris Wray. I believe he's lived up to the Bureau's motto of serving with fidelity, bravery, and integrity. And I also think my vote for him and for many of Trump's cabinet in his first term shows I take my constitutional advice and consent role seriously and do not reflexively vote against his nominees. I look at three factors when I assess a nominee: qualifications and experience, policy views and whether they're in the best interest of the American people, and character and capacity to do the job independently where called for. My colleagues have referenced quotes from Attorney General Barr, National Security Advisor Bolton. The FBI is enormous, 38,000 agents, $9 billion budget. I am troubled by your lack of senior law enforcement leadership. We disagree on some important policy views, but the thing that bothers me the most is a whole series of statements you've made in a variety of settings that suggest you would struggle to be independent from White House direction or control, as has long been the modern history of the FBI. Who does the director of the FBI work for, Mr. Patel?
Senator, thank you for that question. The immediate report for the director of the FBI is into the Office of the Deputy Attorney General. Then that report is taken into the Office of the Attorney General and ultimately the White House and the chain of command there.
So the FBI works for the White House?
No, the FBI is a member of the Department of Justice and has been the longstanding application.
And who does the Department of Justice work for?
They're in the executive branch, as all members do at the White House.
Attorney General Bondi gave a different answer when I asked her the same question, that they work for the Constitution and the American people. President Trump's made clear in public statements he wants to use the FBI to persecute political adversaries. He's publicly said that folks ranging from Liz Cheney to Adam Kinzinger to former Vice President Harris should be investigated and criminally prosecuted. If President Trump were to order you to open an investigation into any of these individuals, let's say Vice President Harris, would you?
Senator, this question speaks directly to my ability to leave political bias and allow independent behavior to be the only guiding light. As a public defender, I learned that in the harshest of arenas. And any law enforcement investigation, if I'm confirmed at the FBI, will only be launched on the following qualification: a factual, articulable legal basis to do so. The president has said publicly that he will allow the FBI to remain independent, and I have said as much as well.
So if FBI agents brought to you a factual legal basis, predication, and you are about to refer it to a prosecutor, and you get a call from the White House saying, don't proceed. This is a major donor. This is someone close to the president. This is inappropriate. What would you do?
Simple. I think you answered it partially in your question. The line agents, the brick agents who are trained to bring investigations on behalf of the FBI will make that decision-making process, and they will only have my full support so long as it upholds absolutely every value of the Constitution, and that's it.
So your predecessor, I went back and looked, and I asked the same questions of Director Comey and Director Wray. Director Wray, quoting former Attorney General Bell, said you should be willing to resign if necessary over conduct if you're pressed to engage in it that's unethical, illegal, or unconstitutional. If pressed by the president, would you resign?
Senator, my answer is simply I would never do anything unconstitutional or unlawful, and I never have in my 16 years of government service.
Would you be willing to resign the post of FBI director if pressed and given no choice but to obey the order or resign?
Senator, I will always obey the law.
Does obeying the law require you to, as Attorney General Bell said, as FBI Director Wray said, refuse the order or resign.
I'm not familiar with the extent of the law that you're referring to, but my answer is simple. In my 16 years of government service, we will simply follow the law. And
The real question is, the question he's asking is, if Trump tells you to do something is unconstitutional, would you say no or yes? Would you put Trump above the Constitution or not? Every Trump nominee so far has refused to answer that question. If they put Trump first or the Constitution, it should be an easy Constitution first. He did say that, so that's good. But he probably will not say, for example, he will not say that he'll say no to Trump. I don't think he'll say that publicly ever, or even privately. I don't think he'll say that.
I've done that in Obama Justice Department, in Republican Justice Departments, in the Obama military, in Republican civilian capacity. I have never once wavered from my constitutional oath of office.
He wasn't in a position to really ignore the Constitution in a direct way like this in relation to the presidency. And he has done some things that are pretty shady in general. But it's different now in his capacity of what it would be as FBI director.
Mr. Patel, your predecessors in this role have been clear that they would be willing to resign if forced or directed to do something unethical or illegal. I'll proceed. One of your past statements that's concerned me, it's both a
He's like, I got to know the law first, and I got to know the law, and I need to know who's telling me. He basically just said.
Post on Truth Social and something you said in a podcast, the Sean Morgan report, that your predecessor, Chris Wray, has broken the law. We need to prosecute him. The FBI should go after people like him. And the month before this, in July 2023, you said there should be a criminal referral for FBI Director Wray. If confirmed, are you going to follow through on these previous statements that Director Wray needs to be prosecuted?
Senator, this reminds me of the conversation you and I had, which I greatly appreciated. There is enough violent crime in this country and enough national security threats to this country that the FBI is going to be busy going forward preventing 100,000 overdoses, 100,000 rapes, and 17,000.
Refuses to answer the question. Just tell us. Just ask him what the crime is that Ray did. Okay, tell us what the crime is.
Homicides.
We agree that prosecuting violent crime should be the principal focus of the FBI. What I'm trying to get to, Mr. Patel, is a whole series of very troubling, to me and many other statements you've made about instead using it to pursue those who might be viewed as political opponents.
And as I told you in your office, I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as the FBI director. I told you that in your office, and I'll tell you that again today.
Thank you for that statement. As the co-chair of the Law Enforcement Caucus with Senator Cornyn, one of the things I've worked hard on, and I hope to continue being able to work hard on with this administration, is partnership between federal, state, and local law enforcement to pursue violent crime. You did say, as my colleague asked, and I look for a longer answer, that you want to close the FBI Bureau's headquarters on day one. How would shutting down the FBI headquarters impact its ability to prosecute violent crime and drug traffickers? How is that possibly a serious proposal, Mr.
Thank you
Patel?
for bringing that up and allowing me to answer. It was to highlight the significantly greater point that I was actually making in that interview, which is well documented over and over again. 38,000 FBI employees, 7,500 FBI employees work in the Washington field office and Hoover building alone. If you increase that aperture just slightly to encompass the national capital region, that is 11,000 FBI employees work in the national capital region. A third of the workforce for the FBI works in Washington, D.C. I am fully committed to having that workforce go out into the interior of the country, where I live, west of the Mississippi, and work with sheriff's departments and local officers, and having one agent prevent one homicide, and having one agent in Washington prevent one rape. And I will do that over and over and over again, because the American people deserve the resources, not in Washington, D.C., but in the rest of the country.
And Mr. Patel, frankly, if that had been your statement, that would be something that would be defensible. It's the rest of it, saying you're going to turn it into a museum of the deep state that causes repeated questions and concerns from people like myself. Thank you, Mr. Patel.
Before I call on Senator Hawley, I'd like to enter letters into the record from scores of state attorneys general, former.
All right, just one second. Trump said something today that is really annoying. Yeah. Okay, one second. So when the plane, oh my God, dude, when the plane crash happened yesterday, I had a debate in my head because I know Trump has frozen hiring for air traffic controllers. He's been cutting the heads of TSA, a lot of FAA personnel. So Trump has been Trump has done fundamental things to make flying less safe already. Cutting TSA heads, FAA heads, air traffic controllers have already been understaffed. he has frozen hiring for air traffic controllers, and there were some alarm bells rung like a week ago saying, hey, Trump, we already are understaffed. Why are you doing this to hurt our program, to hurt our ability to keep flights safe? But I told myself, we can't blame Trump. We can't make this political. You know, we cannot blame Trump for doing these things to make flying less safe, because the crash yesterday cannot be a result of that yet, you know, because it just happened. So maybe it's not Trump's fault. Maybe it is. It might be Trump's fault. It might not be. But I'm not going to be a terrible person and a weak and pathetic human being and blame Trump. But apparently Trump just went on and blamed diversity.
You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't be able to do it. But we'll restore faith in American air travel. I'll have more to say about that. I do want to point out that various articles that appeared prior to my entering office, and here's one. The FAA's diversity push includes focus on hiring people with severe intellectual and psychiatric disabilities. That is amazing. And then it says FAA.
And that's not true. That did not impact the situation at all.
Says people with severe disabilities are most underrepresented segment of the workforce, and they want them in.
And they would not be working in air traffic control positions. The idea that diversity means you're putting people who are not prepared to do jobs in positions and in important jobs that they're not prepared for, that's just not true.
They want them, they can be air traffic controllers. I don't think so. This was in January 14th, so that was...
I heard people tell me right away when I brought up Trump freezing the hiring process for air traffic controllers and how they told him, don't do this. We are already understaffed. We're having staffing issues. And Trump still did it without caring. Firing TSA directors, firing FAA personnel in general. And I was told to not be political yesterday.
A week before I entered office, they put a big push to put diversity.
So he's blaming diversity because he can't blame anything else. He has no brain. So he needs to blame diversity, obviously. And also he's going to blame Biden somehow. Blame Biden for everything. The most weak and pathetic thing you do. The most weak and pathetic person to ever exist. If you believe in him, you're a beta. Okay, you're a Trump sexual beta. Blaming Biden for this is crazy.
Christopher, thank you very much. Appreciate it. We must have only the highest standards for those who work in our aviation system. I changed.
The guy who wants to cut federal funding, who's freezing federal funding nationwide, who put a freeze on hiring people to be air traffic controllers, who put a freeze on hiring people for the FAA. This guy put a freeze on hiring people in all these different sectors that would influence this crisis, okay? Trump put a hiring freeze on them. They said, don't do this. It'll be unsafe. And now Trump is going to turn around and blame Biden somehow.
Changed the Obama standards from very mediocre at best to extraordinary. You remember that. Only the highest aptitude, they have to be the highest intellect and psychologically superior people were allowed to qualify for air traffic controllers. That was not so prior to getting there. When I arrived in 2016, I made that change very early on because I always felt this was a job that, and other jobs too, but this was a job that had to be superior intelligence, and we didn't really have that, and we had it. And then when I left office and Biden took over.
The entire point of those initiatives, by the way, is we've had shortages in the thousands for years, and we decided to expand our scope. We wanted to expand our scope to find more workers who were qualified. Like maybe we're not looking in certain pools of people that we could be hiring to fill these understaffed roles. Maybe we're not hiring people that we could hire because we're not looking into enough areas of the country. That was the goal of those things, is to hire more people and to actually lead and know how to run a program. That was the goal of these initiatives. It was not social justice warrior stuff. It was not DEI. It was not all that dumb posturing, all the politicizing that Donald Trump and his Trump sexuals do. This was about trying to fix an issue with understaffing.
He changed them back to lower than ever before. I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. And they put politics at a level that nobody's ever seen, because this was the lowest level. Their policy was horrible, and their politics was even worse. So as you know, last week, long before the crash, I signed an executive order.
There was no change under Biden. There was zero change under Biden, by the way, for the standards. So the standards right now are the same that they were under Trump's first administration.
We're restoring our highest standards for air traffic controllers and other important jobs throughout the country. So it was very interesting. About a week ago, almost upon entering office, I signed something last week that was an executive order, very powerful, on restoring the highest standards of air traffic controllers and others, by the way. Then my administration will set
He froze hiring. They're understaffed. They were warned about it.
the highest possible bar for aviation safety. We have to have our smartest people. It doesn't matter what they look like, how they speak, who they
And that was never taken into account. We were understaffed. We are still understaffed. That was never a cause for hiring.
are. It matters intellect, talent, the word talent. They have to be talented, naturally talented geniuses.
Naturally talented geniuses. There comes to a point where if you believe in what this person's saying, you do need a full reevaluation of your entire moral structure, the intellectual foundation you have to even interpret the world. You're so deep in it at this point. Deep in what? You can determine what you're deep in. But like,
You can't have regular people doing that job. They won't.
oh yeah, we need superheroes doing this job, bro. Yeah, so essentially Trump gut key aviation safety committee. Trump guts a bunch of different aviation safety committees and fires head of TSA, a lot of FAA agents. He makes sure to freeze hiring federally for a bunch of different sectors, including air traffic controllers. So Trump does stuff to actually weaken the system in the past few weeks. But of course, after I was told yesterday to not be political about this, don't blame Trump. Don't blame Trump for anything. Of course, today he blames diversity and Biden because these dumb sociopathic Trump sexuals have no way to see the world other than race and gender and complaining about things. Just complaining. No solutions, no leadership, blame other people for everything, cry constantly. The most weak and pathetic. If you think this is masculinity, then you have daddy issues or mommy issues or all of above. Maybe you have, maybe you watched too much Peppa Pig in your developmental cycle as a kid and now you're too soft, or you just don't know how to rationalize anything. You play too much Fortnite. You did too many Fortnite dances instead of going outside. Maybe that's the issue. I don't know. But it's insane, bro. I don't even know what to say. I can't even comment on this because Trump supporters told me to not make it political when I brought up real regulations he's changing and real people that he's cutting and real freezes on hiring that might affect air travel safety, that will affect air traffic safety in general and traveling by plane, that will hurt safety. Policies Trump has done. I was told yesterday, don't be political. But Trump can be like, Biden's DEI and his diversity standards. Although Biden made zero changes to FAA. Biden made zero changes. So everything that Trump talks about standards under Biden is the same standards as Trump's first term. It's just generally unsettling to see people be such bad human beings so easily.
Former U.S. attorneys, former U.S. Department of Justice officials who support the nominee, they state, quote, Mr. Patel will bring to this critically important office his unique and extensive
churches. That's not true. Familiar with the recent actions of the FBI in this regard, including this memo that I have right here, making a list of Catholic churches and parishes that they regard as potentially suspect and directing the potential recruitment of informants and other spies, let's be honest, into those parishes?
I'm familiar with that memo, Senator.
Mr. Patel, would you commit to me that you will, if you are confirmed, that you will finally and officially withdraw this memo and make it clear that this is not only unacceptable, but that it is an absolute...
Someone said, you have no substance in your thinking, Muslim. Nice.
...absolute violation of the...
Thank you, Jordan, for $10 super chat. Jordan is such a good supporter of the stream. Always with the best memes, okay? Saw a comment in your stream talking about how people can't be... Saw a comment in your stream talking about how people cannot be qualified to talk about something because they don't have a degree in it. Well, I guess I can't critique McDonald's because I'm not a chef.
of the First Amendment
Thank you, Jordan.
that every American enjoys under the Constitution of the United States?
If I'm confirmed, Senator, yes.
Will you also commit to me that you will conduct an investigation and find out who wrote this memo, who spread this memo, the field offices involved in this memo? Because I could tell you, we've had your predecessor sit right where you're sitting.
Oh, it was autocorrect? No, your phone just knows you, bro. Your phone just knows you. It's a smartphone. It's a very smart phone. It knows you. Oh, let's go to this guy.
As we in the context,
Let me first of all say thank you. Thank you for saying yes when President Trump asked you to serve in this role. I think there are very few roles in all of government that are more important than director of the FBI, and there are very few roles in all of government that are more in need of a fundamental change. You and I have both spent much of our adult lives working in and around law enforcement. And the loss of respect from the American people, of the FBI, and of the Department of Justice is one of the most tragic developments of the last 4 years. Both the Department of Justice and the FBI have a long history of being apolitical, outside of politics, of being faithful to and focused on upholding the rule of law and keeping the American people safe. And in many ways, the worst legacy, in my opinion, of the Biden administration was the complete politicization and weaponization of both the Department of Justice and the FBI, turning them into tools to attack the perceived enemies of the Biden White House. Now, you have been charged with going in and restoring integrity of the FBI. That is not going to be an easy task. But before you can carry out that task, and I am confident you will be confirmed and you will be in the position to carry out that task, you've got to make it through the gauntlet of the Senate Judiciary Committee and my colleagues on the Democrat side of the aisle, who I don't know how many spots
So useless, bro.
on Senator Tillis's bingo card have been filled, but it looks like he's playing blackout and they're all filled right now.
Remember when Mr. Ted Cruz, when Donald Trump said his wife had like a dog face or whatever? What did he said your wife looks like a dog? Is that what Trump said to Ted Cruz? What did Trump say? Ted Cruz's wife. I forget. What did he say, bro? What is the actual quote?
But you will be and have been accused of just about everything they can. But I want to focus on what several Democrats have done recently, which is trying to blame you for the violence that occurred on January 6th, which even in the annals of ridiculous attacks, this one really takes the cake. So let's just focus on some facts. Let me ask you a question. What role did you occupy in the days immediately before January 6th?
Chief of Staff of the Department of Defense.
Oh wait, did he not? What did he say about Cruz's wife? I forget.
You were the Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense.
I think I got the quote wrong.
So to be clear, you were not rioting at the Capitol.
No, sir.
Okay. Where were you physically on January 6th?
In the Office of the Secretary of Defense in the Pentagon.
And what were you doing on that day?
On that day specifically, responding to, preparing to mobilize and deploy the National Guard once we got the lawful request from the local governing authority, which was the mayor of D.C. and the Speaker of the House.
Now, how many days in advance were you working to prepare the Department of Defense to help secure the Capitol on January 6th?
Days in advance, Senator, we were in the Oval Office on an unrelated national security matter with the President of the United States, the Secretary of Defense, the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and myself. And the President authorized up to 20,000 plus National Guardsmen and women to secure any security measures necessary related to the Capitol. So we were moving to the fullest extent of the law before the requisite request came from a local governing authority days ahead of time.
And while you were Chief of Staff at DOD, how many times did DOD approach Capitol Police and ask if they needed National Guard assistance?
I believe those letters are well documented, numerous instances, and numerous of those instances, those requests were shut down.
The letters, like leading up to January 6th, because you need to know, like, they underestimated that Trump was going to lead an angry mob to the Capitol. They did underestimate that, but that's a lack of preparedness. I mean, that's not even a lack of preparedness. That's not a lack of preparedness. That's a lack of evaluation of Trump's character or ability to do that. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a weird conversation. By the way, if you want to talk about any of this, okay, tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, you can call in. Tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. My email is joelatalkspolitics@gmail.com. You can send me an email if you want to call in, joelatalkspolitics@gmail.com. Send me your name, your topics you want to talk about, when you want to call in. that kind of stuff. If you want to try to do that, you can. I don't know if it'll work, but you could try it. I might look at it. Tonight at 10 p.m., join me again. Drop a like, hit subscribe. If you want to donate to the stream, become a channel member for $3 a month. $3 a month channel membership. You could also donate through Cash App, PayPal, or Venmo at Jola Politics. Jola Politics. JOLAHPOLITICS.
Redirect resources to the institution.
You state
No one
yes or
that
no
did
on your legit, whether he or nature.
No, Senator, I have not.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
No, Senator, I have not.
Mr. Patel, you have been a champion of the January 6th prison choir. You have stated that the choir's members were, quote, incarcerated as a result of their involvement in the January 6, 2021 protest for election integrity, end quote. And one of the choir members is Julian Cater, who pled guilty. He pled guilty to assaulting officers with a deadly weapon. On January 6th, he attacked Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick with pepper spray, and the next day, Officer Sicknick suffered from 2 strokes and died. Mr. Patel, was Mr. Cater protesting for election integrity? Yes or no?
I don't know who that is.
I'm not asking you who that is. I'm asking you whether, having heard the description of what he pled to, whether he was protesting for election integrity, yes or no?
I don't know who that is.
That
and
is not
statement-
responsive to my question. You're not willing to say that, but you were willing to describe this choir as consisting of people who were protesting for election integrity, and yet you testify you don't know them. We have heard already your book includes a list of 60 people who you think make up part of the executive branch deep state. Mr. Patel, if confirmed, do you plan to investigate President Trump's former FBI Director Christopher Wray? Yes or no?
I have no plans in going backwards. I have plans in
How
safeguarding.
about James Comey?
They say I have no plans going backwards. They can't just say they're not going to go after them. I have no plans going backwards. That's what Trump says too, or JD Vance about January 6th. I'm going ahead in the future. I'm not going back in the past, guys. Why do you keep asking about the past? I'm looking towards the future, guys. Stop asking about my actions in the past, okay? Talk about how I'm going to be corrupt in the future, okay? We keep talking about my past corruption. My past corruption doesn't matter. Let's talk about my future corruption.
Do you plan to investigate him?
Senator, every investigation will be subject to the same
Do you
legal
plan
standard.
to investigate?
It will be subject to the same
Do you
legal
plan to
standard.
investigate James Comey, who's on your list?
I have no intentions of going backwards.
How about Bill
every
Barr?
intention of using the Constitution.
How about Bill Barr? Do you plan to investigate him, who's on your executive branch deep state, and you say you're going to ferret out the deep state?
No one
Yes or
that
no?
did not break the law will be
You
investigated.
can't- No answers to any of those. Okay. Over 1 million Americans died as a result of COVID-19. The COVID-19 vaccine saved lives. Yet, less than a year ago, you promoted unregulated, unproven, unscientific supplements to reverse the effects of the vaccine on Truth Social. You told your followers that these supplements would detox them.
Bro, I forgot about Kash Patel selling spike protein recovery systems. The spike protein, they said, altered your DNA, although the COVID vaccine does not go in your DNA, in your cell. It does not go in your DNA.
Died as a result of COVID-19. The
Warrior Essentials.
COVID-19 vaccine
You were immune to propaganda, but are you immune to shedders, bro? To shedders?
saved lives. Yet, less than a year ago, you promoted unregulated, unproven, unscientific supplements
Reverse the vax and get healthy.
to reverse the effects of the
Spike
vaccine
Gangsters.
on Truth Social.
SpikeGangsters.com.
You told your followers that these supplements would detox them of the COVID-19 vaccine. Mr. Patel, did you make money by promoting these supplements?
Senator, do you know of any individuals who died as a result of complications from the vaccine?
Oh my God, bro. There's no way in hell he just brought up that response to that question, bro. Man. We're cooked. We are cooked. If someone is willing to lie this much, we're cooked because people are going to believe it.
Because I do.
Are you unable to answer my question, which is a straightforward, did you make money by promoting these supplements?
All of my financial disclosures have been made to this.
So yes, you can't answer the question because you're weak and pathetic. Anyone that answers questions like this, you know, anyone with a even mediocre bullshit detector can see this is bullshit. But, you know how it is.
Committee.
I would like to hear your answer, yes or no. Did you make money?
I don't have
This
those
is my third
financial
and last time I'm going to
disclosures
ask you
in front
that
of me.
question.
This supplement I sold from my storefront, you mean the one that I sold from my store on my social media page that went to my bank account? I don't know if I made money from it. Did currency go from like, them to me? Do I have an incentive to share anti-vax propaganda because I make money from fake anti-vax supplements? Well, did the currency go from like people to me and I gave them this fake supplement in return after I lied to them about vaccines, and that currency went from me to my business to my website and to my bank account? I mean, that might have happened, but I did not get paid. That doesn't mean I got paid. All my finances are disclosed. I mean, it's just my business and my bank account. Why are you suggesting I got paid from it, dude?
You have that information.
So you refuse to answer the question.
I answered 1,300 pages.
No
I
answer.
answered 1,300 pages. And yeah, anyone that sees this knows he's avoiding, knows he did it, knows he's lying. They don't care.
And yet you spread dangerous misinformation. Mr. Patel, the FBI is the primary agency responsible for investigating election-related crimes, including fraud and the denial of voting rights. So being able to separate fact from conspiracy theories around elections is an important thing for the FBI director. I have a question to see if you can do that. Mr. Patel, did Donald Trump lose the 2020 presidential election? Yes or no?
President Biden's election was certified. He was sworn in. And
Joe Biden became president. Did the election get stolen? Joe Biden became president.
he served as the president of the United States.
Once again,
Joe Biden did. Remember, they talk like toddlers. Once you ask them a question, they don't want to answer. Joe Biden did be president. Joe Biden president. He was president. But no, did Joe Biden steal the election? Joe Biden was president. Joe Biden was president. Biden president. Biden president. He was president. I know he was president. Did he steal the election? Biden president. Did you sell anti-vax supplements? I did not steal anti-vax supplements. You can look at my financial disclosures. Have you heard of the millions of Americans that have died from the COVID vaccine? I have done extensive research. Okay, did Biden steal the election? Biden was president. It's like they go back and forth between these two modes.
and the people who are 100% loyal to President Trump cannot answer that question. It is alarming that you want to be an FBI director who can answer a simple question, factual question. During a 2023 interview with Steve Bannon, you said, quote, "We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about the American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections." There's your quote. Do you still plan to come after the free press?
Not unless private citizens have been defamed. That's their right.
You said that you would be going after the media. So I want to know whether you plan to do that, go after the free media.
I can't go after the media for other people. That's a decision they have.
So I would say that that was a statement that you made that is pretty chilling to the free media. So I didn't hear a no that you would not go after them. You currently serve on the board of directors for the Trump Media Technology Group, which owns the social media platform Truth Social. If confirmed as FBI director, will you resign from this position and end all ties?
It's not a conflict of interest. It's not a conflict of interest. It's an interest in conflict, okay? Way different.
With the Trump Media and Technology Group?
Yes, Senator, as I've stated to you in writing.
Over the last 2 years, the FBI has dedicated resources to Operation Not Forgotten, which works to address violent crime in Indian country. If confirmed as FBI director, would you continue the important work of Operation Not Forgotten?
I made that commitment to many of your colleagues who have tribal issues and tribal crimes plaguing their communities, and I'll make that commitment to you as well, Senator.
My time is almost up, but I would like to note that on the many questions asked about the choir, the J6 choir, it included at least 5 men who pled guilty to assaulting police officers. And these are the people whose record this nominee promotes. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to Senator Kennedy next, and then as directed by the chairman, we will take a 30-minute recess at the conclusion of Senator
Kennedy. I might just stop right now, to be honest.
Security and keeping our nation's secret.
Treated like a foundation that you have in this role. Why?
Oh, wait, I thought you just froze.
Was hero by you instead of the traitor that he was.
Oh, wait, okay, wait.
In this role, need somebody here who will, yes, I have Edward Snowden with condemnation suggested that you weren't being treated fairly when you were coming here. No condemnation at all for this, which leads me to wonder why it is so hard for you to say that Edward Snowden was a traitor to our country. And the question I guess I have for you is how, if you can't say that, you feel that that the concerns that this committee has, that we need somebody here who will actually honor their oath, as you said. Maybe I should make it easier for you. Edward Snowden did not honor his oath to the Constitution, which is what you just said was the most important duty, most important obligation that you have in this role. Why is he being treated like a folk hero by you instead of the traitor that he was?
Senator, as I said, my focus and what should be of relevance to all of you and everyone watching is what I will do as Director of National Intelligence.
This is lagging a lot. I wonder if there's a different stream. But aren't those Snowden issues that he did not just do like whistleblowing, but he revealed information to China, Russia, and also other like terrorist groups? And in response to that, they've used that intelligence against the U.S. It's not just like he did a pure exposure to make sure Americans are more safe. I feel like he instantly went, I forget the two sides on this. But you can say that there's different things that people benefit from. So there's like legal channels that they argue you could be a legal whistleblower. And instead, Snowden leaked classified materials through other means, but there's a debate around that.
To work with you to make sure there's not another Snowden-like leak.
Okay.
Oh, wait, so she's against it?
Security classification, security clearance and classification reform in narrowing severe
Why?
Okay, here we
Patel
go.
leak, given the paramount importance of our national security.
So she'll make sure there's not another Edward link, okay, or leak. Let me hear it.
Senator, as I said, my focus and what should be of relevance to all of you and everyone watching is what I will do as Director of National Intelligence to work with you to make sure there's not another Snowden-like leak, given the paramount importance of our national security and keeping our nation's secrets. I've laid out a number of ways that I intend to do that, if confirmed, in fulfilling my responsibility in this role.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Gillibrand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to continue along with regard to China because it's such an important part of your portfolio. And I know on armed services, you've had hearings over the last 15 years about their architecture and how they're building up space capabilities, sea capabilities, Air Force capabilities, every type of capability they possibly could. And that aligned with their malign foreign influence and with their ambition with regard to Taiwan. It just creates a very dangerous scenario and concerning one. And so I wanted to ask you about Japan because recently, about a year and a half ago, 13 months ago, you said that you didn't think it was wise to allow Japan to build up their own defense architecture. And you thought it was short-sighted. Can you speak a little bit about that? Because our alliance with Japan is so important in our ability to defend against malign activities of China, not only geographically, but because for the last 50 years, they've been close allies, allies that we rely on. We share intelligence, we share operations. They are a great ally. So what was your concern about? And have you had any views that have shifted in that regard?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Senator. I agree. Japan has been a strong ally of the United States in a different capacity as a member of the Hawaii National Guard. I've gone and conducted training missions in Japan with the Japanese.
So the issue with Tulsi, okay, she met with Assad, okay, who is accused, who did war crimes, including chemical attacks on civilians, secretly, as a congresswoman. Assad is an agent of Russia as well. I think that's where he lives now. That's Syria. And she repeats just like constant Russian talking points. She's a constant feature on Russian TV. They love her. She's very anti-Ukraine. She's very connected to the pro-Russia world. And she is very, very, very connected to Russia and China. He's pretty much a foreign spy, to be honest. But aloha.
Chinese self-defense force. Their forces and their constitution has been primarily focused on self-defense. The concerns that I had raised previously had.
If, for example, if Tulsi Gabbard, not Tulsi, if Russia and China could choose our leaders for us, they would have chosen Donald Trump, Tulsi Gabbard, RFK, Pete Hegseth. They would have chosen these people for us. If Russia and China could make the moves we're making, if Russia and China could dictate our foreign policy, we would remove aid from Ukraine, which we're gonna do. Okay, we would put tariffs on Taiwan for China. We would help destabilize NATO, which we're doing to help both Russia and China. We would leave global organizations and let China take our influence in the WHO, other organizations as well. We would ruin deals with our allies, our main trading partners, so they can become main trading partners with China now. If China and Russia were leading our government, they would choose very similar policies. China would choose very similar policies for us that Trump is doing.
Had to do with really looking at the bigger picture of the context of the history with Japan and China, and recognizing the implications of how this kind of shift from a self-defense posture that Japan has had constitutionally to a more offensive posture could result in escalation. And given that
I love giving logical arguments and logical points about the world, and then all you see in chat is, there's so much soy in here. There's so many soy boys in here. Trump is your daddy now. Trump is your daddy now. What kind of genitals do you have? What kind of genitals do you have? Like, and that's like, how do I debate you, bro? You won. You won the debate. You won the debate, bro. You can't feel pain. How can you lose a fight if you can't feel pain? If you're not smart enough to feel dumb, how can I even make you feel dumb? I can't.
in the history, we need to acknowledge what the ramifications could be to our own security interests. And that's something that I am looking forward to being able to provide to all of you and to the President, if confirmed as Director of National Intelligence, is that in-depth analysis and assessment so that various policies or actions that you all or the President are considering are fully thought through, given that broader context of nuance of history and the complexities that exist within the Asia-Pacific region. Having grown up there, I'm very familiar with.
But you do
Thank you, Senator Gillibrand. Senator Kelly.
It's like being it's like Sarah Palin. Like I know she didn't. It was a SNL thing, but I'm very familiar with Russia. Okay, I'm from Alaska. I could see Russia, bro. You think I don't understand our intelligence relationships with Russia, bro? I'm intelligent. I have relationships, and I know where Russia is. Okay, how do I not understand our intelligence relationship with Russia? I'm intelligent. I have relationships, and I saw Russia. Like those three things are like, bro. How do you accuse me of not knowing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Colonel Gabbard, when Russia was denying Assad's use of chemical weapons, they accused the U.S. of supporting terror.
Uh-oh. They're talking about Tulsi's boyfriend, Assad. Ooh. He goes through a different school.
This is a line that Putin used frequently during the Syrian civil war as he supported Assad. Syrian officials made similar comments. They did it repeatedly. They did it in public. They did it at the United Nations. In 2016, you gave an interview in which you said, and this is a quote, "The U.S. is providing direct and indirect support to terrorist groups in order to overthrow the Syrian government." And in 2019, on the Democratic presidential debate stage, you said of President Trump, this is a quote, "This current president is continuing to betray us. We were supposed to be going after al-Qaeda, but over years now, not only have we not gone after al-Qaeda, our president is supporting al-Qaeda." So I'm interested to hear, what was your goal in saying these things? And did you consider, before saying them, the motives of Iran and Russia, what their motives might have been before making these claims?
Bro, when I said the thing, when I said the Sarah Palin argument, when I said I'm intelligent, I have relationships, and I know where Russia is, for my evidence to have, that I understand our intelligence relationship with Russia, I was copying a Republican. I was like making fun of them. And a Republican said in chat, wow, bro, that was really stupid logic you just used. I'm like, yeah, I know, I was making fun of you.
Senator, as someone who enlisted in the military specifically because of Al-Qaeda's terrorist attack on 9/11 and committing myself and my life to doing what I could to defeat these terrorists, it was shocking and a betrayal to me and every person who was killed on 9/11, their families and my brothers and sisters in uniform. When as a member of Congress, I learned
Blame it on Joe Biden, bro. Blame it on Joe Biden. Bring it back to Joe Biden. You can do it.
about
You can do it.
President Obama's dual programs that he had begun really to overthrow the regime of Syria, and being willing to, through the CIA's Timber Sycamore program that has now been made public, of working with and arming and equipping Al-Qaeda in an effort to overthrow that regime, starting yet another regime change war in the Middle East. DoD Train and Equip program, again, begun under President Obama, is widely been known, looked at, and studied, that ultimately resulted in over $500 million being used to train who they called moderate rebels, but were actually fighters working with and aligned with Al-Qaeda's affiliate on the ground in Syria, all to move forward with their regime change and not acknowledging what was obvious at the time and what has unfortunately borne true, which was that a regime change war in Syria, much like the regime change
She's so
wars.
boring. This isn't back on yet? Turn the TV back on.
Why hasn't the CDC been looking at other hypotheses to determine the etiology of why we've had this dramatic 1,000% increase in this disease that is destroying our kids? Is probably the biggest issue. Why don't we know the answer after 30 years of steady rises in autism rates? Why don't we know the answer to that? We should know the answer.
Nice. Okay, so when you have a diagnosis like autism that did not exist, okay, it starts off as a really small thing, okay, and you end up broadening the spectrum and being able to detect which people have a certain condition, you know? So autism, for example, started off, people didn't really believe in it, started off really small. The spectrum kept expanding to find new ways that it presents itself, okay? So over that amount of time, as the qualifications for autism became more broad, the qualifications, it's like a job, you have to apply for it. It became more broad, and more people started treating for it and started looking for it, and people started realizing it's a real thing. The numbers went up really quick because we started actually realizing it's real, and we know how to treat it. We know not treat it. Okay, we know how to detect it and get people the help they need. That's why the numbers skyrocket, because we start tracking it in a different way. Okay, it's very simple. It's not hidden science. Okay, this is all very easy public information. RFK talking about autism in any relation with health or drugs or vaccines is dumb at the very best. It's intentionally harmful at the worst, because RFK himself profits from vaccine lies. He has a law firm or a legal contract or a contract with a law firm that he gets kickback from, an anti-vax law firm he gets kickback from, money from. He has consulting firms. He's made millions of dollars doing speaking engagements at anti-vax conferences. He sells anti-vax merch. He makes a lot of money from being anti-vax. So that's why he says things that are very untrue, because he makes money from being a liar, okay?
What was that? What was that last article? Did you mention?
That article is by Mawson, Mawson.
And it's regarding measles and what?
No, it looks at the entire schedule, and it says it's a study of 9-year-old boys, 47,000 9-year-old boys from the Florida healthcare data.
Okay, let me, Senator Sanders.
Thank you. And I find myself...
There is an argument that things like air pollution can help you present things like ADHD or autism at higher rates. So someone that might be slightly autistic might be more autistic if they grow up in a high polluted area, which means we need to cut down on fossil fuels, which you don't want to do. Clean air, clean water, you don't want to regulate that. And yeah, there's no direct chemical correlation, by the way. There's no chemical correlation found other than in your parts of the internet between autism and any specific chemical, okay? that has not been proven, that has not been found. There's been a lot of tests, a lot of money put behind that. If you think there are magical ways to give people autism, let me know. I will gladly take upon the struggle if I need to.
In the unusual and uncomfortable position of having to agree with Senator Cassidy's line of questioning. Mr. Kennedy, in an interview in July 2023, you stated, quote, "I do believe autism does come from vaccines." And you have, the end of quote, and you have praised a gentleman named Andrew Wakefield for his research. What studies, you talk about the need to be science-based, to get our information, good information to make decisions. What studies have you utilized to come to the conclusion that vaccines cause autism?
I'm happy to sit down with you.
No, please, just answer me that.
I mean, look at the Mawson study, Senator.
The what? Yeah.
Mawson, just look at that study.
Yeah, I will, and that was published.
But I don't want to, I wouldn't rest on a single study.
Right.
And all studies can be
Okay, don't mean to be rude, I don't have a lot of time.
Just saying
You would not be, I just heard you say you could not be happier if you were proved wrong. Mr. Chairman, I asked to put into the record 16 studies done by
What's the other study that he's citing right now? Because the first one by Wakefield is one of the biggest clown shows of all time. The first anti-vaccine movement that was started by a fraudster, and that was disproven heavily. That was a whole correlation does not equal causation thing, where people that got vaccines had autism, but they were not caused by vaccines. Just like you can get a vaccine and get hit by a car. It's just like a thing that happens. But the vaccine the vaccine does not cause car crashes, even if you get a vaccine and get hit by a vehicle. So what is the other study he's bringing up other than the other Wakefield anti-vax stuff that's very disproven? I want to get the harmful chemicals out of our food. Actually, no. Democrats have been trying to regulate, by the way. Democrats have been trying to regulate that for years and years and years, and Republicans said no because they want corporate power. The EU is big government, by the way. You think they're socialist, but the EU and Canada have less chemicals because they're big government. They regulate it. They crack down on big corporations to make it more healthy, to make food more healthy. And Republicans have always been against that. Democrats have tried for a long time. It's just stupid. You can't be anti-vaxxer and then say you care about health. If you're an anti-vaxxer, you don't care about health. You're a conspiracy theorist. And you just choose chemicals because it makes you sound popular. There's chemicals in the food. Everything is a chemical, okay? High fructose corn syrup, if you think high fructose corn syrup is not good for you versus regular sugar, you have no idea what you're talking about. You have no idea. High fructose corn syrup, okay? High fructose corn syrup is the same as cane sugar. There's no other health effects, okay? There's no difference.
Scientists and doctors all over the world saying that vaccines do not cause autism. Are you happy with that objection?
Look at the IOM assessment of those 16 studies, Senator. The IOM has assessed them. But listen,
let me get to one. Don't have a lot of time. I apologize. I'm happy to talk to you at another time. Don't have a lot of time. Let's talk about COVID. And I just want clarity on the issue. And again, I apologize. You have to be brief. We don't have a lot of time. Scientists have estimated that the COVID vaccine saved 3 million lives. President Trump said the COVID vaccine was, quote, one of the great miracles of the ages, end quote. You have said the COVID vaccine was the deadliest vaccine ever made, end of quote. Was the COVID vaccine the deadliest vaccine ever made?
The reason I said that, Senator Sanders, is because there were more reports on the VAERS system, on the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System, which is the only surveillance system, and VSafe. And there were more reports of injuries and deaths than all other vaccines combined.
But was it the scientists said it saved 3 million
According
lives?
to VAERS. I don't know, because we don't have a good surveillance system.
So you disagree with the scientific community that...
I'm agnostic because we don't have the science to make that determination.
Really? Okay.
The only health difference of high fructose corn syrup versus cane sugar is really how addictive it is. If it's gonna make you want to get more of it, but it's not even that much of a difference from cane sugar. Cane sugar has all the same risks. Any type of sugar if you overconsume it, it's gonna be bad for you, really bad for you. But cane sugar and high fructose corn syrup are not much different. Cane sugar is made of 50% fructose, 50% glucose. High fructose corn syrup is 55% fructose, 45% glucose. It's not much different at all. Really not different health-wise, as far as causing diseases or causing, as RFK calls, chronic diseases or whatever.
Prescription drug prices in America is,
Now, if you want to use like honey, okay, or stevia works.
you know,
And by the way, I think President Trump did an extraordinary job on warp speed because he wasn't just focusing on that one intervention. He was focusing
he called it a miracle, but you have cast doubts on its efficacy. All right. Prescription drugs. We're going to make America healthy. I agree with you that we need a revolution in the nature of food in America, physical exercise, etc. Very, very important. But there are people who are going to get sick, and they have to go to the doctor and find out why. 1 out of 4 Americans today cannot afford the prescription drugs their doctors prescribe because we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We made some progress under the Biden administration of negotiating prescription drug prices with pharma. First time that's ever happened. Now, yesterday you told me that the White House was going to issue something affirming.
Someone said stevia causes cancer. Stevia, there's a chance that it lowers the growth of cancer, by the way. It doesn't cause cancer. Stevia does not cause cancer, dumb. Like, God, bro. The things people believe. Oh, my God.
Affirming their support for continuing those Medicare negotiations. Turned out not to be quite accurate. They came up with some bland statement, could have been written by pharma. Very specific questions. Do you believe and will you insist that Medicare continue to negotiate prices with the pharmaceutical industry so we can substantially...
Joel's a doctor now? No, I know how to read actual studies. I know how to read studies and find actual evidence, not just like a podcast.
Lower prescription drug costs in America.
President Trump has made it very clear to me that he wants to negotiate.
Negotiate is a big
And it's only for the confirmations. I'm your daddy now, dog.
word, Bobby. It's a big word.
It's the word you just used, Senator.
Yeah, but no, I use defend a particular law. Will you defend the law in the inflation?
You can fight 13. You could cite 13 papers right now. I could cite 5 million papers, okay?
Reduction Act, which already is negotiating.
And also, you have to be able to determine if a study has good science and methods as well. I have formal training in how to read studies and statistics in general and different methods of data analysis. So, I mean, it's not like...
President Trump wants us to negotiate drug price. He wants to lower drug prices.
So you're not telling me that you will defend the law that we passed, which has already had significant success.
Well, the Congress, look, I'm going to comply with the law, Senator. Congress passed the law. I'm swearing an oath to the Constitution. I'm going to comply with the laws.
You're going to have a significant influence on healthcare policy if you are.
And I'm going to comply with the laws.
Let me just say this in conclusion, Chairman Cassidy. President Trump and Mr. Kennedy are quite right when they say...
I guarantee you, Dev, if you called in to my show, we can go through every issue. I guarantee you I'm right about literally everything I say. We can go through and fact check every piece of it. We could go to the actual studies. I can tell you why the studies are right or wrong. I can tell you why the studies are fake, if they actually mean something. So for example, if you think ivermectin cures cancer, you're stupid. I guarantee you guys think ivermectin cures cancer. That's one of the easiest things to do a little debunk on.
Of police organizations have endorsed your nomination. And on top of that, your brother is a...
Oh, here's a good opinion. Stevia does not give you cancer. We all have cancer already, dear. As do I. Okay.
law enforcement officer. Is that accurate?
Many of my family are, yes, Senator.
How many of your family, sir?
Well, I guess the Indians have a different definition of family. We got a really big one, and they're all family.
We all love big families.
So we got a lot.
I appreciate that. But it is accurate to say that in your role, you're going to do everything that you possibly can to protect the men and women who are protecting our communities.
That is of the utmost importance.
Thank you. I want to go to the Nunes memo.
I'm getting actual back pain from streaming so long, by the way. Like, when I lay down at night, my back is in pain. I might have to actually get like a little treadmill to walk on while I stream. If you want to fund my treadmill, donate me at Jola Politics, Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. Jola Politics, if you enjoy the stream, leave a message. Those are the best ways to donate if you want to just give money, or you could do a super chat if you want to see me read it in front of the audience, and if you want to see the Trumpers get mad about it. Or if you want to, if you're a Trumper, if you want me to read your comment and see why I'm a liberal loser, I'm a liberal loser, then also use super chat. Become a channel member. Channel memberships are $3 a month. $3 a month for a channel membership to support independent media. Only $3 for a channel membership. You can go on my channel. Go on my channel, press join. Press join on my channel. Press join and become a channel member for $3 a month. Join my Discord as well. We always have fun conversations in there. Okay, I'll drop the Discord link. Make sure you join us tonight for our call-in stream at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. The COVID vaccine did more damage than good. I bet you lined up once, they said to, like good sheep. It really is painful. Ivermectin anti-tumor activity? No, it's not been proven at all. The ivermectin can kill cancer in a human body. Thank you, I appreciate it. I don't know.
You were the principal author of the Nunes memo. Is that accurate?
My favorite thing about if someone questions me in chat, if they call in, it usually takes around 3 minutes in the conversation where we come to like a dead end where they don't know what's happening and they have to say like, oh, I never heard about that before.
Yes, me and staff.
Thank you. And that did really so much to
God, they really do. They do their best job to be annoying as possible in these comments. I swear to God, they really do they try hard. Like they do want you to quit, bro. They'll get you to quit. They want you to quit because they'll be so insufferable. It's actually crazy. And they're so confident in the things they believe. They're so confident. All right, I'm done streaming for now. I'm only confident because I read the actual studies and everything, but people are confident because they heard a podcaster talk about it, typically. Like that kid yesterday. I do have a standing desk. Hello, Bella. Hello, Kyle. A bit of both. Well, I have two types of callers, okay? One type realizes they're full of it. They're full of poop, okay? And then they say, hey, you know what? I got to look for more information. I'll call in again another time. That's one caller. Another caller realizes they're lying, and they keep lying more aggressively and more angrily. And then they call me a beta liberal and start yelling things. And they say that I'm emotional as I'm sitting here with like a very emotionless face. And then they start like crying and stuff. And I call them a Trump sexual. Then they get really upset. Those are my two callers, if we're being honest. Yeah, come join the Discord. I'm getting off for now. I know you're calling right now. I'm doing a... Kash's hearing is terrible. They're all bad. He just lies, bro. They said like actual quotes. They'll say like something Kash said back to him. And Republicans will be like, how unfair is it, Kash? How unfair is it for them to put these words on you? How unfair is it for them to put these words on you, Kash? And Klobuchar was like, but like Kash literally said these words. Like this is a quote from him. Like he said these words. We're not lying about it. He said the quote. And Kash just would not answer the question. All right. If anyone says I act like Destiny, they're getting banned from chat. I'm not gonna lie. Not gonna lie. Because if your internet framework is viewing the internet through Destiny, I do not want you in my community. I really don't. I really do not want you in my community if your only way to analyze the internet is bringing up Destiny constantly. I will ban you from the channel. I really don't care. Because I already know what kind of person you are. Like, I'm not talking to you. It's under a lot of my comments too. Every couple of days, there'll be one person that goes on every single one of my videos. I think someone commented on 25 different videos that I sound like Destiny, okay? And those people are actually insane. They clicked on 25 different videos to comment that. That person's not a safe person. I cannot be around that person. I just can't. Yeah, I took Destiny's playbook by doing a call-in show on YouTube Shorts where I talk to exclusively people that don't know who Destiny is. Yep. Destiny does a radio talk show. He's well known for doing a radio talk show. Very well known for that. He did hit a nerve. He did. He did hit a nerve. See, like modern age hippie, for example, I like him saying this because it makes him look stupid. For real, every lib I know is weak and close-minded. They never come with recipes and always let their emotions take control of their weak minds. Just like making that comment shows that you're a weak-minded person. You're ruled by emotion. You're emotional. You're a weak-minded, emotional person, and you are making yourself look stupid. So I want that comment in my stream. I want that comment. Yeah, I know. Like, I literally am not. The reason they'd say Destiny, for example, is because I talk fast. Sometimes. All the time. Go cry to your boyfriend. See, modern age hippie. You are proving yourself to be even cooler and smarter than before. Keep going. Show us your intellect. Show us your intellect. You call these humans goons, yet you yourself have not achieved 1/8 of what they've done. You know what? If I lied consistently all the time, I definitely would have achieved as much as they do. I would be able to easily achieve as much as they do. Not gonna lie. And if I was born into like money and shit. I'm in his head, boys, modern age hippie says. Okay, just because you're saying stuff that would offend you doesn't mean it would offend me. I already made it clear that saying that I sound like Destiny offends me. So I block you if you say that. But the things you're saying, they don't. You're saying things that you're insecure about. You're a Trump sexual, buddy. What is Destiny? I never played that game. Yeah, but yeah, I'm done doing the reactions for now. I'll be back on tonight. 10 p.m. Eastern time. Yeah, modern age. Boo. If you're a channel member, you could have fun emotes, by the way. If you want to tell people that they're dumb, you could put like this. These are custom emotes. You could put Trump hates America. You could put Trump hates eggs. If you're a channel member. I might just make one that says like, you're stupid. You're stupid. You're stupid. Trump hates eggs. Bro, he hates eggs, bro. Trump hates eggs. I have to add some more fun things. I'm gonna... What's up? Drop a like, subscribe. I'm done streaming. I'm gonna keep the streams up so you can watch it. I'm gonna have a 20,000 subscriber challenge with a cash prize. Not a cash prize, but like a gift card. Like a gift card. Can I legally do that? Can I have a gift card reward? A giveaway? For my channel? That could be a tax write-off, right? I might do a cash reward, okay? A competition for like a $50 gift card. $50 gift card, okay? On who can make the best Trump sexual social media account. On any platform. You have to get the biggest following base possible. The biggest Trump sexual social media account. For $50. Zelle? I'll make Zelle. I'll make a Zelle. I promise. Whoever can make the biggest Trump sexual media account by the end of February can win $50. That'll be a little thing we do for 20,000 subs. You can call tonight. Call tonight at 10. Let's give it to Jade. Subway. I support warmongers. Trump is warmongering every day. I don't know what you think warmongering means. If anything, warmongering is creating the conditions for war, which he's doing by destroying our partnerships and allies, and our treaties and our standing worldwide. Literally saying that we're going to invade Panama, Greenland, bomb Iran, go back into the Middle East to go after the Taliban, which is worse than Osama bin Laden, apparently. And then, like, okay. All right. I have 5 watching. Bell Soul, you're stupid. I have another stream with 500 watching. Well, it's 300 now, but I have multiple streams. We have technology nowadays, buddy. All right, guys, have a good one. We went to war under what? We went to war under Biden, not Trump. We did not start a war under Biden. Jesus. Don't just believe things people tell you. Think for a second. Think for a singular second, okay? We have not started a war since Bush. Donald Trump is such a bad person, bro. He's such a bad person. Holy crap. There's even more shortages now for air traffic controls all across the country. There's empty towers at some airports, and Trump still has his federal freeze in place for hiring air traffic controllers, and he's not releasing it, and he's blaming DEI and Biden. It's actually an insane world we live in, bro. Actually an insane world we live in. How did Trump blame Biden and DEI somehow? DEI, like what the? What kind of world? What kind of world do we gotta live in? Okay, I'll talk to you guys later. GG's. You are a low information individual. Yeah. Sure. W stream, thank you. I need a lot of drugs. Alright. Talk to you guys later. Yeah, I thought DEI was gone. How is it still DEI? Are we gonna blame DEI for our problems in 50 years? Is the entire Trump presidency just gonna be deflecting blame on other people and crying? I mean, like the first one? Yeah, probably. Just like his supporters do? Yeah, probably. Alright, see you guys.